Hello, everyone. It's live. It's Saturday night. I've been wanting to do that.
Live from Florida. It's
Saturday night. Hello, everyone. It is Saturday night. It is time for Revolutionary Change. I'm Jen Perelman.
I'm Peter Hager, and don't adjust your sets. Jen Perelman is actually here this evening.
I am here this evening for a very special reason, and I also have a very hard stop at 9:20. I am telling you now, because at 9:21. This room is going to turn into like an incel auction house, and I don't want to be in here.
Well, soon enough, you won't have to worry about it anymore. But yes, thank you for the hard stop at 2 hours and 20 minutes. I think that, 2 hours and 15 minutes.
I'm giving you my time.
Well, let's get this crowd as big as possible tonight. Smash that like button. Make sure that you are subscribed, especially if you're new here, and make sure you share the stream. We are closing in on 51,000 subscribers. So like I said, we're going to try to get to 100,000 before Jen dies. And
it's a lofty goal for Peter. He wants me to get the plaque before I die.
Yes, we want to prove that our show, despite all of the impediments to success that we've had to deal with since day one, are ultimately averted. But if we keep covering the stories that we keep covering, we're probably setting ourselves back constantly. And what better place to start than to continue to show how absolutely broken beyond repair that the Democratic Party actually is. Now, we'll start with the soft one. And for those of you who do not know who Herb Conway is, not like it matters.
Me, no idea.
Yeah, just another cog in the equation. But
okay. He
is the new congressman from North Jersey's, I want to say, 11th district, I believe he's in. Actually, let me confirm that. So Herb Conway.
But it's blue. It's blue, yes.
Very blue, extremely blue, as blue as can be. Right. Actually, he is from New Jersey. Excuse me, my apologies. So he represents New Jersey's 3rd congressional district. And that, let me tell you, I wish you guys would understand that when everybody throws their arms up in the air about what Trump and the GOP are doing in Texas in terms of gerrymandering, this is a colossal problem everywhere. If I showed you how his congressional district is drawn, it almost looks like Pac-Man. It almost looks like the way that...
That's how our district used to look, remember?
Well, the district actually was weird back in...
our district was like this. Sheila's district was like Pac-Man.
Sheila's district is definitely like Pac-Man now.
Yeah.
And, the argument is, well, they're gerrymandering it so that they have all the black voters. I mean, yes, they are. But keep in mind, one of the reasons that they do this, particularly in the Democratic Party, is that they want to corral as many black voters into black districts as they can, because those are the ultimate gatekeepers. There's a reason why no one has ever attempted political mutiny against the likes of Maxine Waters or Jim Clyburn.
It dilutes their vote, though. It dilutes the vote.
No, yeah.
That's ultimately the goal, is to dilute the vote.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And so this district, which covers the state capital of Trenton, but also covers all the way out to Monmouth County, which is where I am from, all the way down to Atlantic City. So you try explaining that district. I know I can't. But this is one of the, I want to say, at least 13, maybe as much as 15 congressional Democrats that just went on this luxury trip to Israel. And then in his haste, decided he was going to do a town hall. Not the smartest move.
We have many allies who do things that we do not necessarily agree with, but we're not prepared. We're not prepared.
The death of children?
We're just going to sit there and yell all day.
Yes. We're going to sit here and yell all fucking day. Yes. And are we just talking about him or the other people that have been having similar receptions at their little town halls in their districts around?
We're going to get to Wesley Bell, but
and he's not my favorite. I mean, let me tell you. I mean, that's entertaining, but Elise Stefanik was glorious.
I didn't get the clip for Elise Stefanik.
Elise Stefanik being booed off the stage twice was glorious.
Yeah, Colin, if you have a clip of Stefanik's town hall, look, we are going to get to a point in this country very soon where
Please.
They are not, none of them are going to be able to show. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
we already know that Wasserman Schultz only shows her face in public in extremely controlled environments.
Correct.
Wasserman Schultz has not done a town hall in the congressional, I mean, an open town hall. I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I don't think she's ever done one.
I've never.
They're all learning from these particular individuals that at the end of the day, they don't believe that they have to answer to people. The districts are gerrymandered. Everything is completely funded now by a billionaire oligarch class that they need only to ask what it is that you need, and they will deliver it. And there is still, unfortunately, too many people in this country that play in the red versus blue sandbox. Now, that's for now, but that doesn't mean it's not going to change. And as you will see here, this crowd is not having it. While everyone was under the illusion that this was really just a whole bunch of shit, Libby people showing up at the Republican town halls and causing a stir, let me assure you, this is happening on both sides of the issue.
Love it. Oh, yeah.
Genocide! Saying genocide! It's not even a crisis. It's a genocide!
Why are they taking $25,000 from the Israel lobby?
That's
nothing, right? Like, I mean, Wesley Bell, I think, is the most. Wesley Bell is like over $12 million that he's taken. That, I mean, we all know that it was basically in one fell swoop to oust Cori Bush, but this is so this guy's another one who's a cheap whore.
Oh, yeah. Well, the absurdity of it all is that he takes this Capitol and he stands there with that freaking suit on like he's some special person.
But let's look at that audience.
Yeah. It's a very
right?
white audience.
It's a very white audience. It's actually an older audience.
Yes.
So that's not young people and kids that are yelling and calling him out. And that woman whose face was blocked was definitely an old, like a middle-aged woman. So,
yes, but you know what the common theme here is, though, and why we've said that the Democratic Party is dying for so long. Yes,
rage.
Well, yeah, but
that's a common theme.
Yeah, but if you remember at the beginning of when this all started, around the holidays in 2023, they had that town hall that went off the rails with Senator Gillibrand, and you had the reaction from the same type of whiteys in the audience that were like, "Stop! Don't do this!"
Right. They were angry that people were speaking up. So now, so this is however much, almost 2 years later.
It's not the same now. The older, Dem biddies, if you will, they're quiet. They probably still hate them, but they're not able to act out of rage now because they know that it's politically untenable to do it. If at this point you are still rah Israel, our greatest ally, etc., you are now going to be put on a list. Yes, you're going to be put on a list. And eventually, you are going to be rounded up, if you will, and cast out as the lepers that you are, as they all should be.
Are you against bombing kids or not? It's a yes or no question.
How is an apartheid a democracy?
Shame on you! Shame on you!
Ending the town hall early and not taking questions for people who are listening. That's what the text box says.
Unfortunately,
so these people are not able to finish their events.
Yeah. Well, this is also unfortunately going to be a sign of things to come, because eventually this is how all events are going to transpire.
Well, what will happen is they'll stop having them. And that's when people need to just start meeting them on the road or outside their houses or wherever they are, as long as it's public property.
Yeah.
And that's where where they can't go anywhere in public spaces without being called out for the pieces of shit that they are.
That's putting it nicely.
You took $25,000 from AIPAC to use it to a genocide. Shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on all of you. You're on the wrong side of history. You, free Palestine, you.
Yeah, she was. I liked her. She was eloquent. She got right to the point there.
I would say that her I would say that her statement was actually very fair and even-handed.
Oh no, her delivery was great too. And I would also point out that they're talking about, so he has obviously taken this money within the past year.
Oh yeah. This was quick. He's only been
Right. That's what I'm saying. So he's not one of those people that could even say, I took it at the, last campaign cycle, but I wouldn't even take it. He can't even say that.
You know what, though? Honestly, there is going to be, like we said, there's going to be no coming back from this. I mean, listen, not everybody is Wasserman Schultz. It takes over $1 million from them. But at the end of the day, they're going to say, well, I took this money a few years ago, but why did you take it at all? So what you're proving is that you don't actually have any merit to stand on. You actually have to be corporate funded in order to get elected. You don't actually stand for anything, which again is the unraveling of the broken system. You have been saying since October 10th, when we first dropped that video after 3 days after it happened, where you said no one is going to be entitled to a moment's peace. They think that they are, but now it's starting to become real, where it's like, well, we're not going to have a moment's peace. We're actually going to make your life a living hell. And do I think that they're going to put up with it? Yeah, I think that they are, which is why we played that clip from Ari Schaefer the other day, where it's like, yeah, unfortunately, there's going to be more bloodshed. Because they don't care. This is just an inconvenience for them. And if you think I'm wrong that this is an inconvenience, if you thought that that was bad, and believe me, that's just the start. But it's nothing. That is nothing compared to what's coming with circumstances like what happened with Wesley Bell, who actually attempted to speak back towards his constituents. Now, keep in mind, for those of you who may have forgotten, Wesley Bell is we'll just say what has to be said. He is the Uncle Tom that has been replaced Cory Bush in Congress by taking $12 million plus from the AIPAC lobby alone in order to get elected into this, remember, gerrymandered district, and it's Democrat. And why is it gerrymandered? Because you have the working class and urban plighted district part of the congressional area that is represented. And then you have the wealthier suburban areas that is brought in to kind of balance things out. And so that is essentially what we have here, the haves versus the have-nots. That is what we're facing here. And so Wesley Bell, the fuckhead that he is, decided that he was going to do a town hall thinking that that was a smart move. He's the biggest corporate whore out of all of the Democrats that just went over to Israel.
We got other folks out there that are taking our democracy from us.
You have democracy while supporting genocide.
Why did you have to Why are you taking that?
There are a lot of complicated issues about this subject.
Oh, see that, you know what? When you say that, telling a crowd of people that are upset about genocide, that it's complicated, that's the sort of equivalent of somebody telling someone else to calm down when they're freaking out. I think it has the inverse effect, and that's what that looks like to me.
Again, all dressed up and ready to go. That's a lot of blood money that you had to take in order to dress in that fancy, probably $5,000 suit.
You have no idea. It could be from Marshall's. You have no idea.
I doubt it. He's dapper. He tries to be anyway. It's just, I can't help it, Jen. I can't help it. I look at these sad sack of humans who just sit there with their arms folded like this is just acceptable discourse.
Yeah. Well, they're comfortable with the way things are. It doesn't bother them. Anybody who is okay right now is someone that just obviously, their life is great. Yeah. Their life is great. They have not a fucking care in the world. I mean, but Wesley Bell, this is what I want to say. So Sabby calls him. Savvy says that Norbit looking mother.
Ouch.
Norbit looking.
I never saw that movie. I would have no
either, but that's what she kept referring to as Norbit.
Yeah. Well, More to come.
I was stopping infants from receiving food. I was starving babies. Helping anyone.
It did not go well for Bell. Once the town hall was over, police and an unmarked person attacked him. Look at this. Look at this man. Unbelievable. So you have a very large man completely manhandling.
Say what he is, Jen.
He's just big. I mean, I'm not going to, whatever.
I was going to use the G word, but that's me.
All right. Well, I don't even know what you're talking about. What?
Gorilla?
Oh, no. He's just manhandling
I don't care for
this
people
woman who's like half his size. I mean, like, this is absurd. So
excuse me. She might be a third of his size.
Yeah. No,
maybe.
But here's the thing, people, is that Wesley Bell sicked his goons. That's a good word for G. Goon.
Goon. Yeah.
Sicked
That's
his
a good word.
goons on the people that were speaking up against him at the town hall. But this is off the wall. Like, honestly, I hope, because Sabby did a dive in this, and she actually had a close up of like more of something of this guy's face. This is assault. And I actually hope that some of the people that are on camera here physically assaulting these women are charged, because he's assaulting her right now on camera. That's an assault.
Yeah. And that is
it's a battery, but it's we say anyhow.
And that is the G word. He is a goon,
He's a
big
goon.
freaking goon who doesn't have much going for him other than his brute size, of which he has plenty. But he's not actually trying to push around somebody who's, let's say 180 to 200 pound guy. Like, for example, like if it was me that he was trying to push around, he's pushing around a woman that might be 100 pounds soaking wet, if she's that. That's who you grab of all the people there. You want to make an example out of basically
all the other people. There are these women too. The other one who they manhandle was another woman who's small.
He's got her by her neck.
Yeah. I hope whoever this is files charges.
But as we've said, this is just the beginning. This is not going to go away. This is going to be a more common occurrence as we go forward. And it doesn't matter that it's a Democrat. It wouldn't matter if it's a Republican. They are going to need wall-to-wall protection every day.
And guess who's going to pay for that?
The taxpayers.
Well, see, here's the thing. Technically, taxpayers are the ones that fund everything, because everything is ours. It's just not our tax dollars that fund spending. But taxpayers, we do. Technically, it's all of our money. It's all of our resources. So, that's why it's a nuanced thing.
One of our favorite supporters makes a very good point. The whole point of doing this and getting violent with small people is to scare them into ever thinking about standing up. And keep in mind, he didn't just do this in front of a congressman. He did this with the full consent of police officers that were there on the scene.
Yeah.
So
honestly, this gentleman needs to. Well, he's not a gentleman. This animal needs to be arrested. Yeah, because that's a crime. We're watching.
And remember what Mr. Goon would say if he was arrested. I was just following orders. I did what I was told. They told me to get them out of here by any means necessary. They're not going to ruin my town hall. This is my town hall. I am here to speak. They're so in love with themselves.
And if you want a deeper dive into the self-loathingness of this black man here, that and Sabby did a really good comment on it, that she did a much deeper investigation into it. But Palestine doesn't like black people. They don't. They don't like people that are dark. I mean, in Israel does not like
Palestine.
It's the land of Palestine. But the nation state of Israel does not care for black people. We've even talked about it on this show, how black people are referred to. And yet this guy, this goon, is doing their bidding.
Yeah.
That's
Not
some
only-
self-loathing. That's some self-loathing shit.
Well, we're not going to have time to get to it tonight, but we probably will on Monday. But that I pointed out the other day, when we talked about Ariel Scarella and the BS that she did with the Palestinian protesters. Brandon Tatum is an ex-Black police officer who has been a Trumper forever, and he is adamant about supporting the state of Israel. And as we've said, why at this point would somebody do that? The reason? Because it pays. And when they get desperate, that's the thing you also have to remember. They are so desperate that their PR is not working anymore, that now they just have to buy off as many people as they can. And this person can't even, God.
Exactly. We're so used to trying to be polite.
Yeah, I can't be polite. And
No.
can't even tuck his freaking shirt in, for God's sake. I'm just, again, a schlub with his hand out, ready to get paid. And again, somebody even pointed this out, which I thought was interesting. He's like this with a woman in full view of the camera. Could you imagine what he's like when no one's around?
Exactly. That's, yeah.
Scary.
Why? Again, this is, wait, it gets worse. This guy. Look at these police officers on camera shoving people to the ground, not holding people back, offensively shoving people to the ground. The bald guy just shoved someone, like, ridiculous. This is insanity. And this is at a town hall. This is insanity.
Town hall.
A town hall with completely peaceful people asking legitimate questions. So we're just going to shove them to the ground because we don't like what they're saying.
I mean, if that doesn't show you what police brutality looks like, I don't know what does. Again, they are getting physically violent.
Exactly. She was exactly.
Yeah. And this guy right here, this other goon, he's the one in the middle.
Yeah.
Was
All of
itching
these people.
to go after. Yeah, no, he was itching to shove somebody. He was itching to put them down and basically intimidate. And if necessary, get really violent with them to the point in which who the hell knows what would have happened if they really tried to defend themselves. Remember,
So do you see that these two men are standing on top of a woman cowering with her hands over her head, and they're standing over, like, what is the threat that she's posing that would even require them to be standing like this? Like, no part of any of this video has any justification whatsoever. All of these people should be suspended or fired. Like, this is just absurd.
Well, you know what they're a threat to.
No, I know what they're a threat to, but this woman, but they can't claim that this was any sort of defense from the people that were at this town hall. This isn't even a crowd of people that were marching.
But here's the problem. When you are acting this way in defense of capital, because that's all this is, there really isn't a justification behind it, because genocide was always going to tell the truth about how far people were willing to go for a buck. And it's pretty obvious that there are still a lot of people that are willing to go as far as necessary in order to get paid. That's it. If anybody has ever had to question exactly why we are in this mess, it's always about money and power. There is no secret. There is not a secret formula. It's all the same. They are getting paid very well to defend the state of Israel. They spent $12 million on one congressional race, just one, because it was so important that they kicked Cori Bush out of there. So that Cori Bush, who was so into the woke shit, she went so far away from anything resembling why she got to Congress in the first place, which was a Black empowerment, working class economic message. And then she gets to Capitol Hill and she starts doing all the things that the Democratic establishment was expecting of her to do. The second she decided that she was going to call out the state of Israel, that was the end. That's like, oh, you're done. Goodbye.
It wouldn't have mattered if she didn't call them out. They still are going to try to unseat anybody who is not going to vote in their favor.
Anybody who acts in dissent, you are not permitted. And for now, we're going to have to take our lumps. But this is all documented. The internet is forever.
I don't understand how this is not. I mean, it remains to be seen. When was this town hall? Because
2 nights ago,
these women should be pressing charges.
they should. I'd be shocked if they aren't already. And
These people are not happy.
No. And not only that, but you know, what's always amazing about these circumstances, and it goes to show you how none of them are leaders. They're all they're all servants of the highest cause, which in this case is the state of Israel, is the interests of our foreign policy, which is all centered on the Middle East and these proxies in between. He could have easily said, guys, you don't need to get violent with them. Let's just usher them out of here. He keeps his mouth shut. He doesn't say a damn word.
You're saying that you're saying that like those were just people just standing there that then just decided to get aggressive and violent. Those people were there exactly for that reason. Those people were there to do that, and he knows they're there to do that. You don't have goons standing around a peaceful town hall unless they're planning on manhandling people that say things. It's not an accident. This wasn't a misunderstanding.
No.
You know, they knew what those people were there for. They knew they were not a threat. Not one of those people that was speaking up was remotely threatening. So the fact that people ended up on the ground, that is, to me, that is again, it's de facto police misconduct. That's misconduct.
But that's
why would people at a town meeting be on the ground that were nonviolent?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's the thing. They don't know how to handle this because they know that they've lost the plot. Once you lose the plot, again, it's taken a lot longer than it should have. But I think a lot of people are now starting to see the real effects of it. And it's just been so obvious. And this is exactly why we have said, you know, there are people out there who are under this illusion or delusion, I should say, that somehow if Kamala was there, no, it would actually be worse because they would be much better at covering it up. Trump is terrible at covering this shit up. He has accelerated it to such a point, and he has become so immersed in doing everything, and I mean everything, that Miriam Adelson or any other oligarch who is connected to the Israel, machine, if you will, wants him to do. He never says no. And I do believe for the most part, the reason he doesn't say no is because everything is transactional. He knows that if he just gives in and does what they say, it's another $1 billion for the empire, for our real estate empire. It's really great. Like, that's all he thinks about. He doesn't care if he is welcomed in polite society or what impression he makes. By the way, Kamala's going on a book tour. And of course, the only places she's doing the book tour are in the exact places that you would expect her to be welcomed.
Of course. She can only go. Well, that's the same as how Debbie goes. She's only going to go into very controlled environments where you won't have to deal with naysayers.
Colin, can I get that clip of Stefanik up, please? I just want people to.
And just to address the fact that this is happening with both sides, as if there are two sides. There's not two sides. There's one side, and that's Capitol, and then there's these two little acting troops that play like they're against each other, just so that we can think we actually have some semblance of a democracy, when in fact there is no choice in the system. But so this is happening just as much over there in GOP land. Their people aren't happy with them either.
No. And that is why, because of these two town halls in particular with the Democrats, that the old tired argument of, oh, it's just a bunch of libs showing up at our events and booing us. It's like, no, eventually you will notice that no one actually is on board with any of this shit. And this person, who probably has lofty goals about actually going somewhere in her career, well, a lot of that is now, she really shot her load, but good. She'll probably try to get her congressional seat back. But at this point,
she can have her congressional seat back. I think, this is somebody who had her eye on running for governor.
Oh,
this
absolutely.
Is somebody, right? Like, this is somebody who, had her eye on a much bigger space. You ain't getting it now, Elise.
Probably not.
True. Okay, so that was attempt 1, or that was the second. There were 2. We don't need to see them both. So they tried it twice. So I'm not sure if that was the first attempt or the second one, and then they just gave up, and she didn't even get to speak. But yeah, so that is, it's been a pretty good cross section of crowds that we have seen that are not having it.
Also, it should come as no surprise that Stefanik is on stage with a whole bunch of goons herself. And she has a ton of blind support still. We have a waste.
Of course.
Yeah,
absolutely. But the more people see her, then the more she's going to minimize her chances of ever going any further. It's the same thing with Kamala, same thing with AOC. When people show who they are and it's not good, the more they speak, it just hurts them. So this is just, I mean, you know her because you're in her district. That's great. But this allows people in other parts of your state to see her. So, and not support her. So that's why it matters.
I think it's also important that people remember that with Stefanik, again, another person who had lofty expectations for her career. She really thought that she was going places. And now she's finding out that this is not all rosy anymore. And people are just not going to forgive and forget these things. It's actually really consequential for the future of our country. But I will also say this about Zohran Mamdani. Remember, the reason Zohran won is because people under the age of 45 decided to get off their ass and vote. And when they did, he won. And
now, but that's why he originally won, right? But now he's got support from all different areas. Now,
well, that's it. Because at the end of the day, as much as both parties claim that they are independent thinkers, they're not. Because when you get right down to it, there is still that reliable party line vote that when the general election comes around, whoever is the D will get the vote from the Ds, whoever's the R will get the vote from the Rs consistently across the board. But I would also say that for anybody out there who is looking to the future as to whether or not we can break the stranglehold of the corporate control over our nation led by Israel, it's only going to happen if people accept that they have to be more actively involved. The people that sat in the town halls, particularly the Wesley Bell, or actually it was the Conaway town hall, where you saw the old whiteys sitting in the audience, like, well,
right.
Because again, for them, they're not really bothered by this. If they were bothered by it, trust me, they would be the loudest ones in the room because
it doesn't affect them. It doesn't affect them.
That's one thing about privileged liberals in the suburbs. One thing that we've always known about them. They're the loudest and the meanest of them all, because if you get in their way, trust me, I know tons of people like this that are in Jen's congressional district, not necessarily against Wasserman Schultz, but they're the ones that show up at the city council meetings that if they don't get their way, they will make life so miserable for people because, first of all, they have too much money. They are way too comfortable in their lives and they have nothing better to do. So they pick these little things that makes them feel important and feel relevant. But when it's something that isn't directly affecting them on a day-to-day basis, they'll feign interest and the concern, if you will. But when push comes to shove, they will not touch. They're just not going to. It's a generational change that we are pushing for. Hence the name. But it's not revolutionary.
Yeah, I thought, we're having a revolution now. It's time for a revolution.
We are, and it's
I'm beyond discussing this with people. Like we're so far past that. They had that opportunity 10 years ago. 10 years ago to right now, the people that we're speaking of had the opportunity to choose wisely, and they didn't. And so now we're doing it the hard way, right? Like that's just the way it is. You can't undo that now. So now there's no going back and doing it the easy way. As much as Bernie and AOC on their little stupid oligarchy tour would like to imply that you can now go back and do it that way. No, that's not on the table anymore. If you've ever been to a negotiation, it's sort of like once you don't take that, that's not coming back on the table now. Now we have to do it this way. And this, unfortunately, is not going to happen through electoral politics.
I would like to think that enough people realized that after what happened in 2016, that there was no coming back from this. None. And that's why we're here. And now I preface this with, as somebody who believes in the free market, a real free market, you don't have one when it isn't about what's good for what's needed. It's more about what do the shareholders decide they are going to try to do to draw blood from a stone. When we think about our economic system that's breaking, I look to what just happened with Cracker Barrel. Now, if anybody's ever been to a Cracker Barrel, I think you have, I have, Colin has. I believe probably a substantial portion of the audience probably has been to a Cracker Barrel. Listen, it's a main staple, especially in the southeastern United States. If you are on any major interstate, decide that you're going to stop and get some food, or just sort of like a mainstay option in many of these smaller southern communities, Cracker Barrel is a very common place to go and get food. Now, I think it's decent food, especially for a chain. The breakfast in particular, I think, is really good. That's generally what I get when I have gone there. But as somebody who truly loves being an American, I don't love our government, and I don't really know many people that do. But I think there is something very Americana about Cracker Barrel. Yes, it's a throwback to, more of a what you would consider a Southern white culture. But you know what? Who gives a shit? It's a very creative concept when you see it. You have a lot of these old tchotchkes and fixtures from the turn of the 20th century, even the 19th century. And I think that stuff is cool. I think that their shop is cool. Every once in a while, you'll step in there and there's some stuff that they're selling that's actually pretty nice. And, it's a nice little tchotchke for your home. There was a reason that Cracker Barrel stood out. But this moron, and that's the nicest way I'm going to describe her.
See, but she's not. And that's the problem. It's very intentional. And this is what I was trying to explain to you before. She's not stupid. She's not stupid at all. This has been coming for a few years. She's very self-serving and very calculating. Again, our assistant Rachel worked at Cracker Barrel, both waiting tables and has worked in their retail and has been through their employee training. And this was years ago, a few years back already. So, I have a little bit of insight into what this is. And she is not stupid. So it's intentional. Okay. I'm not saying I agree with the decision, but she's not stupid.
So Julie Fels-Massino, who has taken over, and what I think is very important here, as you have pointed out, Jen, and Colin, I sent you a tweet regarding this story from when it first occurred over a year ago, that they were planning a rebrand, that this was something that was already in the works.
I told you that.
Oh, no, I'm saying that this message actually came out where this tweet indicated over a year ago that this is going to kill the brand. Like if they mess with this, there is no reason to do it. Cracker Barrel has no reason to make an adjustment to their branding concept. Their trading numbers were good. Their dividends were good. Cracker Barrel CEO says brand isn't relevant and needs a new plan. Here are 3 changes coming soon. For what?
She's major leaguing this. That's what I'm saying. Like you're treating it like somehow it's an oversight or just bad business. I think that they read the writing on the wall that these kinds of things are just not really for the long haul. And she's trying to get her golden parachute out of this. So I don't think she's stupid. I think it's very intentional. And they've been planning to do this for a few years. And the transition started a couple years back with the menu and different training and different stuff. So I'm just saying, like, the decor and the logo is sort of the last bit of what they're doing. But yeah, again, I think it's intentional. And why would they do this then? Why would they do this? Because she's looking for a way. She's major leaguing this.
This is one of the more noted foodie accounts on social media, the food manufacturing guy. He has a gold check mark. That's real big. That's high up on the hog. As an avid fan of Cracker Barrel, I can guarantee you this new CEO will 100% destroy this company. Thursday, during an investor call, Julie Fels-Massino said both the restaurant and its customers are no longer relevant. Well, that right there, I think, speaks to what has always been the case with why capitalism is failing. It's not about the consumer. It's about the shareholder. That is the primary concern. It's never about the people. So the fact that she let it out of the bag, that's not surprising. Does anybody in the audience happen to know where Julie Fels-Massino actually came from prior to joining Cracker Barrel as its new CEO? She was the head of Vivid Seats, one of the most crooked scumbaggery third-party ticket
dealers. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. This is intentional. I'm telling you, it's intentional.
Rachel agrees.
Thank you. Thank you. And Rachel knows all about this stuff, but this woman is not stupid. And I really think that I just think it's very intentional whether they're tanking it and they're doing what they're doing. Who knows who they've bet? Maybe they bet against themselves. For all you know, she already got, who knows what these criminals do?
But imagine this. For those of you who are not familiar with Vivid Seats, they were one of the two highlighted third-party ticket vendors along with Ticketmaster that were known for doing excessive fee charging on tickets. In some cases, reported as high as 40% of the cost of transaction was related to the direct fees that were being charged in excess by Vivid Seats. That's who was in charge of that, and that's who's in charge of Cracker Barrel now. Now, one would say that this was sort of a learning moment, so to speak, or you would think it would be a learning experience of some kind, if the intention was actually to listen to what the people wanted. Again, as I said, the numbers reflect a company that was actually doing just fine. Their stock was trading considerably higher today as it was compared to just a year ago. In fact, I believe it was trading at like 65, maybe 70. So it clearly was a company that didn't have a problem.
So then why would you do this?
Because of greed. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
There's no other reason. You want
everything in capitalism is about greed. So that's their whole premise. Their whole premise is greed. That's all they got. So of course that's what they're going to do. But if something's doing well and then you go and do this stuff, either you've had some very bad focus group info, which is what it sounds like she's kind of claiming that way, like, oh, well, people said they liked it or whatever it was that she put out in her statement. But fine. But that's not what it appears to us. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. They're going to get their payday. She wants her payday. That's it.
Yeah. Remember, Cracker Barrel is not a small business. Again, as somebody who's in commercial real estate, the only thing that matters is that the company has a corporate line that it follows to a T. There is no one who deviates from it. If one Cracker Barrel changes, they all change. That is why, as our friend Rachel has pointed out, if you've ever worked for a company like this, there are strict guidelines that you follow. If you deviate from it in any way, you're out. And this is exactly why this type of concept, which was good and now is being broken, has led to this. Now, Massino didn't go on national TV to say, we need to do a better job of listening to our supporters, our consumers, after the stock dividends lost over $100 million over the course of like a 24-hour period. We know it's going to continue to lose more. No, you're going to listen to what this buffoon had to say on ABC's Good Morning America in conjunction with the asinine replacement logo that they decided to come up with.
The feedback's been overwhelmingly positive that people like what we're doing. I'll give you another soundbite. I actually happened to be in Orlando last week with all of our managers. We bring them together and once every other year. And the number one question that I got asked, Michael, was, how can I get a remodel? When can I get a remodel? How do I get on the list?
Oh, really?
So because the feedback and the buzz is so good, not only
I guarantee you she's lying.
Can I also interject for a second and just put this out there that for me personally, it's absurd that I'm sitting here and we're discussing Cracker Barrel. We're discussing Cracker Barrel's branding and their logo. Like that has any importance to anything of anything. And this is what people are distracted with. And this is what upsets people that they want to talk about is Cracker Barrel's logo. Who gives a shit?
Well, I mean,
it's so ridiculous that this is even news. Who fucking cares?
Well, here's the thing. I would agree with you in principle that is without question a small issue if the whole idea was that they were just upset about the rebranding of the logo. It's everything. It's they're changing the entire interior of the place.
Yes. They're
down.
rebranding just like we did, and they're allowed to do that. And who fucking cares?
I care. Do me a favor. You know what? You can ruin an entire segment by being a petulant child. I'm being serious right now. Like, it's not even funny.
I know you think this is serious shit. I think it's capitalistic bullshit.
I think it is capitalistic bullshit, but at the same time, there's a lot of people who don't get a lot of joy out of life. And very often, if they can spend a few bucks, they go to a place like Cracker Barrel, they go in there, they like the ambiance, they're enjoying themselves. And now you walk into a Cracker Barrel and it looks like a piece of shit. They took out any character.
And go to a Buc-ee's, go somewhere else.
Again, it's not that simple.
It is, though, actually.
No,
and I'm someone who's road tripped a lot. I can tell you there are other options.
No, again, you're wrong, because sometimes this is what they have in the area that they live in, that they're accustomed to. Again, the modern day conveniences are very hard to find. You know, not everybody wants to be trapped on their phone 24/7. So if you go to some place like Cracker Barrel and you have the opportunity to get in there and just kind of enjoy the experience, you know, just enjoy the setup and everything, and it's been completely stripped away. If anybody has seen what it looks like now, it's a joke. That's the point.
Okay. I
Only
never
from our customers, but from our team members. They want to work in a wonderful restaurant. So we're doing everything for our guests and our team members.
We're doing
that's what you do.
Wonderful to have you here.
Pleasure to be
here.
here.
Thank you for
Thank you.
answering those questions for all the Cracker Barrel fans out there. And a lot of great changes.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Robin?
Can I get in writing that the peg game is going to stay?
The peg game is staying.
Okay.
So are the rocking chairs, fireplace, vintage decor. It's all there.
All right. Okay. Because that would be a deal breaker. That would be a deal breaker.
Oh, that's what the deal breaker is. Yeah.
The whole people, it's a restaurant chain. Okay? It's a restaurant chain. Who cares?
Jen, you're wrong.
I'm not. In
It's
what
just
way
wrong.
am I wrong? This isn't a matter of right or wrong. I am telling you that capital shenanigans and what they're doing and fucking over customers and trying to help their shareholders, that's the American way. So the fact that some people are like ass hurt because that's one of the themes that they like Americana and they don't like that I'm sorry. In the grand scheme of the universe right now, this doesn't make my top 100 list. I'm sorry, it doesn't.
I'm not saying that it does. Again, that's not what the argument is. You know what this would be comparable to? I'll give you a better comparison. You and I, again, we're both in some way a product of the 1980s. And if you remember back in the 80s, if you would go to a McDonald's, what was sort of a known thing at a 1980s McDonald's? You had a play place. There was a place that you could go. There were Ronald McDonald characters. There was a certain feel that you had to it when you went to McDonald's. If you go to any modern day McDonald's today, they have stripped all of that away. It's all gone. It's
yes, because those were breeding grounds for like bacteria and they were disgusting and they were just gross. But that's not, again, so even if that's true, let's say they changed and that makes somebody sad. Get over yourself. Find somewhere else. Places come, places go. No business has an obligation to maintain itself for anybody. And if people don't like it and don't go there and they go under, then that's the natural consequence.
But again, I don't understand your argument here. They have nowhere else to go. There isn't another Cracker Barrel type place in this country.
Okay, first of all, that's just not true. I have not yet once been to a roadside exit where the only thing there is a Cracker Barrel. There are other.
That's not what I said. I asked you, what is the? Tell me another place that's kind of like a known place that you find hundreds of examples throughout the United States that would be comparable to this. What else is like Cracker Barrel?
There isn't, but there doesn't need to be. That's irrelevant. I could come up with a lot of concepts and say there's nothing other like it. That doesn't mean we're owed it.
I understand.
The world is not owed a Cracker Barrel with a fucking old man cracker on a logo.
But that's not what we're talking about here.
Oh, no, we're talking about changing the restaurant decor. And so what? The food, let me tell you something. Get Rachel to come on here and she'll tell you what the food has really become there. So the people, they don't care that the food has gone down. They don't care that the fucking people that work there barely make enough to eat there. By the way, they pay $12 an hour at a whole bunch of locations. So when they come out and say, oh, $12.99 a meal, well, great. So their own employees after working an hour, can't even afford a meal there. Hey, that's the kind of shit we should be talking about Cracker Barrel. Sorry.
I think if they had just focused on improving the food, they would have been
fine. Yeah.
Yeah. I would agree.
But that's not what they wanted to do. I think they're looking for a way out of it. And maybe who knows what their motive is. I just don't think that the general public is owed any one business concept, and anyone who has a business has any sort of real obligation other than their own benefit to keep their customers happy.
honest to God, some of you guys, we are appreciative that you're here, but for the love of God, stop telling us how to run our show. It is so fucking annoying. Like, seriously.
Please, let me tell you, David Villa, I'm with you. I imagine all the people too. Imagine all the people, David.
As I've said, we are living at a time where people are really fucking pissed off. And you know what? It's easier to get people upset when creature comforts start getting taken away from them versus, yes, we are trying to get people to pay attention to what is really causing the rift in this country. I thought I was pretty concise about why Cracker Barrel is a joke. Again, it wasn't a broken concept. It didn't need to be fixed. If anything, like Rachel said, who's actually worked there, said, if their concern was about making sure that their clientele and their employees were being taken care of properly and that they were improving their food, that would be another thing. But you know what that would require? That would require the shareholders to have to take a little bit of a loss.
But that's against the law, Peter. Our law requires that those businesses do what they're doing. And they don't have any requirement to help the public, serve the public, give a shit what people want. Their only obligation is to their shareholders to increase profits. That's it. That's their obligation. And whether or not they're smart about doing it is another story. Again, I don't think they're smart, but
fair enough. If you like,
I just feel like people, you know what? Are all the people that are as angry about this angry about the stuff that really matters? Because you might be, but the problem is I find like a lot of people are interested in this, but there are things that that cause me to be on the rage meter. And, I've been basically hovering at a 12 on the 1 to 10 rage meter for the past 2 years. And so when I see people getting angry about this, I don't give a shit. Get the fuck out of here. Are you really? That's what's got your little panties in a bunch, that the Cracker Barrel isn't exactly what it used to be nostalgically? Yeah, get over yourselves. Okay? Eat somewhere else.
And it is our job to use that against them and show them that, hey, if this type of stuff really bothers you, then understand that it is a systemic problem that is rooted in the broken capitalist system. And that's why this is happening. Now, some people can't see that far ahead, but it is our job to try to help them see it. If you guys are enjoying this, before we bring in our esteemed guests, please go over to patreon.com/revolutionary change. For as little as $5 a month, you can become a supporter of our small but mighty and growing channel. Big shout out to one of our favorites, JG1982 with the $5. Any info he has on infidels gang at GHF would be a great question.
Okay.
Looks like we're going to have to open with that salvo. Edmund with the 279 Canadian A. Jordan Peterson considered genius, but loves Israel. I don't know anybody who would consider Jordan Peterson a genius. I would say
honestly, never. I've always found him to be. I've never found him to be even remotely brilliant. Like there's nothing about him.
Sophie Martinez, thank you so much for becoming a YouTuber.
Sophia.
Really appreciate you being here. Kenman with the 699 Canadian A. You can't go back to dating after ending an engagement. We can never go back to Bernie AOC BS.
Word.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. They're never going to be. That's the thing. And that is the whole experience of what this genocide, I think, is teaching people is that what was will never be again. You will never be able to just convince people that everything is okay and that it's, we're going to put this behind us and we'll go back to the normal red, blue, divide and all that shit. No, those days are long gone and will be, thankfully. Texas Grown with the $20. Thank you very much. I'm correct. BlackRock owns 14.5% of the CB stock. There it is. There it is. Why does BlackRock?
This is what I'm saying. It's intentional.
Yes.
They want it to tank. They don't care. They have an out.
They do. And that is an excellent point,
Right.
Texas Prone. And thank you so much. Really appreciate the support. And Kenman with the 279 Canadian A one more time. Jen has the best earrings.
Well, I'm wearing my watermelons today, you guys, you see.
Yes. Jen, I hate you and I love you at the same time. So, you know, we just have to.
Who are you? Oh, I thought you were reading somebody.
No, it's
That's just
okay.
you. You
Yeah.
hate me and love me at the same time. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Drive me insane, but I still love you anyway. But I'm
'Cause
sure
you know I'm right.
I think you're half right, and I'm half
You
right.
know I'm right. And it's like, I think the problem we ultimately have is that you just really refuse to let go of capitalism at the end of the day. And that's really like this last fiber that just needs to be snapped for us to really be on the same page.
Oh, for the love of all that is holy, as Jen likes to say. Before Anthony, just 1 second. We have one more. Noah Linden, we love you, babe. Thank you so much for the $10. Peterson's theories include the idea that there's a dragon of chaos underlying reality, and that this dragon is female. In the words of Nathan J. Robinson, our last guest, this is unprovable gibberish. Well, it's unprovable gibberish.
You
Yes.
do not do the. It's not good.
I have to warm up to it. It takes a little bit of time.
Although Nathan really liked your impersonations.
I guess I can please some people, but not all the people. If there is a person that has impressed us, that has impressed everybody. And I have been very clear about this, and I will say this not just to Anthony, but to anybody out there that is willing to speak out against what's going on right now. Keep in mind, you are not just putting your reputation on the line. You are also potentially putting your life on the line, because the Israel lobby is losing control over the messaging in this country. And once that starts to happen, the onion starts to get peeled back. And eventually enough people will see that this is an untenable position. And it isn't just a question of ending the genocide. It's a question of severing this unholy alliance with the genocidal state of Israel forever. And if anybody has made an impact on pushing that forward, it is retired U.S. Special Forces whistleblower Anthony Aguilar. Welcome to Revolutionary Change. You're still on mute, brother.
Unmute. Something is awry.
There we go. What? You just had it. There you go. Up. Nope. You had it and then it went.
Are you sure? I can't tell. All right. Well, while he's working there, let me say, I mean, I have. Oh, there you are. It is such. It's an honor, sir. It really is. It's really an honor, and I say that like, and I am a anti-military type person, but it is an honor, sir. Can't.
Colin, help us out, baby. What's going on? Why can't we hear Anthony?
How about now?
Now we hear you.
All right, I got it figured out now.
Okay, thank you so much for coming on our show. I have been a big fan for the past few weeks. Just watching you just speak truth to power has been a beautiful thing. So I appreciate that immensely. And I just, before we get into, I'll have a couple questions that I don't think anybody's asked you yet, just at some point. But Peter, what did you want to start with?
Well, I just want to say thank you. It takes a lot of courage. I am sure you've made quite a bit of sworn enemies as a result of this, but somebody has to be willing to do the right thing. We released, well, Jen kind of did her, what I would consider, just, you call it a manifesto, if you will, 3 days after October 7th, basically explaining exactly why this happened, what's going to happen, and what we have to do to prevent it. And I am of the belief that this happened on purpose. I don't think that there was any accident on October 7th. I think much like 9/11, I think that there were a lot of things in play that allowed it to occur. And now we're seeing a sort of a great awakening in many respects, but we still have a very uphill battle to climb, as I'm sure you would agree.
Yes, I couldn't agree more with that introductory statement. And I also want to extend my gratitude and thanks to you. It is my honor to share this time with you. I've got a great deal of respect for how you speak out and keeping the message going, because that's the only way to make progress in this, is that the message the story, the voice can't die. We're at a point in history right now that it is not a matter of weeks or months. It is a matter of days that if the world does not intervene and take action, and the United States does not stand up for our values and not be continued to be pulled by the choke chain from Israel, that we will be on the wrong side of history. And that day is coming soon.
I wanted to ask you something, because I haven't seen anybody ask you this, and I'm just curious because I was raised Zionist. I grew up in North Miami Beach. I was raised in an Ashkenazi Jewish area, and we were definitely Zionist. And it took me a long time to sort of deconstruct that, which happened long before 2023. But what was your perception about Palestine and about that region and that conflict prior to you going there? Like, what was because you weren't obviously raised Jewish Zionist. So, what was your perception beforehand?
So a perception within the United States military is that the Israeli Defense Force, that the Israeli forces are just the best in the world, that they're, we should strive to be like them, that we should admire them, and we should, it's, if you get to go train in Israel with the IDF or with IDF units, then you're really, you're really something special. And that's kind of the perception that I always had in going to that part of the world and going to Israel, or going to, areas around there, that if the IDF, if you were training with the IDF, you were really, really top dog. And, but from all the wars that I've been to, and fighting in Afghanistan, and fighting in Iraq, and fighting in Syria, and fighting in Tajikistan and southern Philippines, I always ask myself, where's our ally? Where's our ally that we hold so highly esteemed? And I had never worked with the IDF before, but I went to Israel with the intent on delivering humanitarian aid into Gaza, with the initial kind of that fanboy feeling of like, oh, I'm going to get to work with the IDF. This is going to be great. This is awesome. And that perception was shattered. So I did not go in with a bias to confirm. I actually had my perceptions and my thoughts flipped on their head. And it took, I wouldn't say it took a lot of convincing, but upon first notice, things that I normally would have been like, this is pretty messed up. I kind of had to weigh that and think, well, is it this, is it that? And then when it became apparently clear, vividly clear, there was no other reality. And that reality is that the IDF are not the most moral army in the world. The IDF are not the most skilled or professional military in the world. And what they're doing in Gaza is nothing short of inhumane, barbaric. It is annihilation. It is not a war. It is a slaughter. And they know that they're doing it. And the United States, what really bothers me, or what really has pushed me to want to speak out, is that the United States goes right along with what Israel wants to do. And I never felt more uncomfortable in my entire military career. Now, I am retired, and I was not there as a military representative of the government or a soldier. I was there as an independent contractor.
As a tourist. As a tourist, right?
As a tourist, that's right. By the visa that I was on, I was in Gaza with a automatic machine gun, a pistol, a shotgun, tear gas, and stun grenades as a tourist. And every step of the way, it's almost as if Israel said to do it, we were going to do it. And it really made me start to question the bigger picture as to why the United States was involved in something to where we, the United States, were being pulled in a way that is contradictory to our values and to the way that we do things. And from my experience, at least. And that really started to make me look deeper into what I was involved in. And when I took that deeper look, I knew that it was something that I had to speak out about.
What would you say was the biggest change of opinion that you had going into this? Perhaps an opinion about Israel that you had prior to going to the aid sites in Gaza, that you thought one way, and then after you saw what you saw, you told yourself, I can never look at these people the same way again. What was
you mean about Palestinians, like things you were told about Palestinians? Is that what you mean?
No, I'm talking about we are told, again, you served in a highly classified position. You obviously were privy to things that, perhaps the average person can't even wrap their heads around. But you're told constantly, especially if, you're similar in age, you came up through 9/11, you went through all the machinations that was Afghanistan and Iraq and all the things that we've learned over the last 20 plus years. But you kind of probably always had an opinion or a viewpoint about Israel that maybe you were ill-informed about. But then once you saw it for what it really was, you realized, oh, not only am I wrong, but I was so wrong that I now kind of have an obligation to tell the world that what we may have believed was Israel for a long time is anything but.
That's a great question. And, as a young cadet at West Point in my, military art classes, we learned about how phenomenal and how amazing Israel was in the Yom Kippur War and the 6-Day War and the Arab-Israeli War. And, just recently, it's probably about one year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, I read a book called Rise and Kill First, which was a book about the history of the Israeli IDF and the Mossad. And again, that fanboy perception that oh man, the IDF are just incredible, they're just great, we want to be like them. And when I got to Israel and worked hand in hand with the IDF in the few early days of planning before we went into Gaza, I was concerned, and I kept justifying it to myself, almost like a codependent toxic relationship where you say oh, maybe it's me, maybe I'm the one that's wrong. And looking at it, one of the IDF soldiers had walked into our Joint Operations Center, and the magazine in his weapon was in backwards. He's swinging his weapon around everywhere and flagging everybody, and I was just like, is this the IDF that everybody's been so hyped up about? And I'm like, I don't see the magic, kind of. And it got worse from there, I would say. It wasn't just the professionalism and the personal discipline. It was also the tactical and the operational discipline. However, this is where I started to notice where there was a convergence of ignorance and inexpertise, and also a level of deliberate intent on displacing and slaughtering the Palestinians. And I'll share that by saying that the very first time we all went into Gaza, the IDF were escorting us, and we had a contingent of UG Solutions contractors, which I was contracted by UG Solutions, and they were taking us to the distribution sites to get eyes on. No Americans had seen the sites. No Americans were involved in the planning of the sites. That initially had me ask, and I asked the leadership directly. I was under the impression that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, Safe Breach Solutions, and UG Solutions would be a unilateral, independent operating body where we would coordinate with the IDF in terms of moving in and out of Gaza, but that we would be running this operation as an independent, unilateral humanitarian aid entity. Oh, no, that's not it at all. We work for the IDF. That was made clear to me from day one. And I was kind of taken aback by that. And I was like, we work for the IDF. And then like a voice in the back of my head, all that I have read about the weaponization of aid, and that the UN had been blocked, not because of Hamas infiltration or Hamas compromise, but because the Israeli government wanted to put aid, make it a weapon, use it as leverage, use it as power, use it as influence, use it as a way to control the population. And it hit me when I was like, I think there may be some truth to that. And what codified it in my mind in terms of, no, it's definitely looking like that's it. We went into Gaza, and as we got to gate 232, which is the around Gaza, you have the Egyptian border, you have the Mediterranean Sea, and then on the Israeli side, from the north all through the east, you have gates and checkpoints that are completely run by the IDF 24/7. Gate 96, where Hamas fighters breached and came through on October 7th. It's manned 24, supposed to be, is manned 24/7 by an Israeli army unit. How did that happen? So there's a crossing into Gaza. It's called the Sufa crossing. It's close to Karim Shalom in the south.
Yeah.
We crossed in, and before we crossed into the gate, we all got out of our vehicles, and the IDF set up this giant map, and they showed us the operational graphics for Operation Gideon's Chariots, which was the offensive in the south to clear Khan Yunis and the rest of Rafah. And when they showed us this map, the secure distribution sites were in the engagement area of an operational offensive. And for people that say, well, all of Gaza is a war zone, I say, if you want to have a discussion about operational art and wide area security and combat operations, pack a lunch and we'll have a talk. It doesn't matter if all of Gaza is considered a war zone. There are identified areas for combat operations. There are sustainment areas. There's support areas. There's the rear. There's the front. There's the forward line of troops. These distribution sites were put in the area of active, ongoing, offensive combat operations. And I saw that, and I was like, I remember I said to the guy in charge from UG Solutions on the ground, I said, we can't distribute aid at these sites if this is where they are, and this operation is in the state that is in that they're briefing us. We cannot deliver humanitarian aid from these sites. It violates international humanitarian law and the protocols of the Geneva Convention. We cannot do that. Oh, we'll see when we get there. We don't know what it looks like yet. I'm like, okay, they're briefing us on it right now. I'm okay. You're the boss. So we go with the IDF and we get escorted to the sites. And we start off on site number 1, secure distribution site 1, which is the furthest south of the distribution points. And to show everybody what that is, so like if here's it's maybe hard to see, but all the way down here in the south, these are the 3 sites. Here's site 1, all the way in the corner. This is all of Gaza. And these are the only sites left now. 3 sites out of before where there was 400. And here's site 1. When we got to site 1, as we pulled up to the site, on the northern berm, in front of the northern berm, there is a battle ongoing. The IDF in a battle. Tanks firing, tanks maneuvering, infantry moving, and I was like, yeah, this is exactly as they briefed it. We cannot distribute aid from these sites. Where are the people going to come from? Are we going to force the Palestinians to walk through a combat zone, through a battle? The IDF said to do it. The IDF are good with it. This is the IDF's plan. We will execute what they tell us to do. And I was like, that's not what I understood this operation to be. And regardless of the IDF telling us to do it or not, this is a violation of the Geneva Convention, placing the civilian population at risk, where the obligation under international humanitarian law is to safeguard and protect the population. It specifically even says in the 4th protocol of the Geneva Convention that distribution sites for humanitarian aid or relief, water, food, medicine, medical services, church, religious schools, cannot be established in a place that forces the population to travel through a combat area. It says it clearly. And yet we were doing it. And another, as I call these like a series of light bulbs, like, light bulbs on a dashboard. The next light bulb went off in my head like, bloop. This is deliberate. This isn't an accident. Where the sites were built and located to displace the entire population to the south, that's not an accident. That's a plan. to have the Palestinians have to move in these very narrow corridors of movement, the coastal corridor to the Marag corridor to go south to the sites, that's not an accident. That's deliberate. So when I first saw these sites, I was like, what kind of amateurs planned these sites? This is ridiculous. And then the light bulb went off and I was like, oh no, these were expertly planned. These were exquisitely planned, not for the purpose of humanitarian aid, for the purpose of displacement and slaughter.
I need you to tell me that I'm wrong, that I have believed from day one that this was all a setup for one reason and one reason only: money and power. There is about $500 billion worth of natural gas under Gaza's soil, and there is infinitely trillions more in real estate redevelopment along the Mediterranean coastline as a result of this mass destruction, genocide, whatever you want to call it. I think this all like anything else, always comes down to money and power. It's the same thing in Ukraine. It'll be the same thing in Taiwan. Everything always comes back to resources and maintaining the global hegemony. And as unfortunately as RFK said, this is our aircraft carrier in the Middle East. You know, Jen always says that Israel is us and them. There really is little, if any, separation. Are we wrong?
Unfortunately, you are not wrong. And that is exactly what I saw. And to that point, there's the grand strategic level in terms of the overall occupation and taking of the land. But levels below that, for example, for the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, there's nothing humanitarian about it. It's not a foundation, and they don't give a crap about Gaza. The name is a misnomer. They don't care about Gaza. They don't do anything humanitarian, and they're not even a foundation. There's this cloak and dagger weird entity that even the United States Congress, even the United States Department of State through USAID that gave them $30 million can't get information from them in terms of who are their donors? Where does the money come from? Who's paying for it? Who do they work for? And they refuse to answer those questions. When I went to the Capitol in early July, mid-July, every senator or congressman every senator or representative that I met with, Republican or Democrat, regardless of what their position were, they all had the same question: where's the money coming from? Do you know? I don't know. I thought you would know. I'm here to ask. I'm actually here to ask you that. Nope. It bothers me. It bothers me that an entity within our nation, led by an evangelical Zionist, can Heisman the U.S. government and say, nope, we're not going to tell you. I believe that when history bears the truth, which it will, the truth always shows itself. Always. And when it does, what we're going to find is that the donors behind this, Western European nations or Western European donors, are all going to be oil and mineral magnates. Guarantee it.
I agree.
So another thing that I was curious about, and I actually saw somebody else in the chat say this too, is I completely have thought that from the beginning. I thought a few days after October 7th that this will be a genocide and they'll take because I just know that's what Israel is. I know that's what they are. I know that if their lips are, they're lying when their lips are moving, that you can't trust the thing that comes out of their mouth, and they're psychopathic. And the majority of the Israelis are psychopathic. So you can't believe anything they say. But it's so messed up to me that of the amount of people that have gone over there, people like you, that not anybody else is speaking out against this. And it scares me that there are that many people that are so beholden, people like you. Like, I can't imagine what it feels like to volunteer your life and put your life on the line for something that you think is really important. And then you find out this is the kind of crap that's what you've been dedicating your life to, has been doing, and what this country is and what empire is. And I think that's devastating. But yet, why are there so many people that are like you that aren't being like, wait a minute, this is not what we signed up for when we said we want to protect and serve, right? Like, that wasn't it.
Well, you know, something that I have learned throughout my military career and throughout life, power and money make people believe things that are right in front of their eyes to be false, but they'll believe it. Case in point, going into Gaza, mind you, I joined UG Solutions as a contractor going into Gaza because I really felt a calling or a desire to help, to help human beings that were in dire need and were starving, whether they're Palestinians, whether they're Africans, whether they're Belgians, whether they're Canadians, doesn't matter who. Human beings were in dire need and were starving to death because food and aid was not going in. I was not at that time, I was not necessarily bought into which method. I thought, hey, if the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is going to go in and do it, I want to be a part of helping. I want to be a part of getting critical aid into Gaza. Within days, it became very apparent to me that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation had no intent of delivering aid or delivering relief to the Palestinians. Case in point, no water. To this day, no water. How absurd is that? One, you're in the desert. Two, everybody needs water to survive. Three, when the GHF says, oh, we've delivered 127 million meals. No, you didn't. You didn't deliver one meal. You delivered boxes of raw ingredients.
Yep.
That's like if you go to the grocery store and you come out with a bag, you're like, I got a meal. No, you don't. You still have to, you're not close to a meal. And in those boxes of dry ingredients, dried rice, dried lentils, dried pasta, flour, you need water to make anything from it. And we're not giving them any water. It was mind-boggling until I realized, aha, the intent is to actually deliver aid in a way that makes it look like we're delivering aid, but we're not actually delivering aid. It's like, what's that, sir?
And blame Hamas and say that.
And then blame Hamas. And then because the idea or the concept of Hamas is so foreign to most people in understanding how organizations like Hamas operate that it's just easy to say, you're Hamas, you're Hamas, you're Hamas. Because I spoke out to, I initially am speaking out to the travesty and to the slaughter and to the genocide. But there's an agent that is doing that, and that agent is Israel. And it's not by accident. It is deliberate. It is a plan. And when I first came out and spoke, I'm Hamas. Some of the paid bots and the paid spokesmen that operate on the internet, I have no social media, so I haven't seen any of it, but it's been shared with me. Apparently I'm Hamas. I fought for my country in uniform, and I was in the Army for 25 years as an infantryman, leading infantry soldiers, and as a Green Beret. And they have the audacity to then say, oh, he's Hamas? No, I am not Hamas. But what I am is a human being. And to see what I've seen and to turn away from that is evil. It's immoral. It's wrong. I don't care. I don't care what anyone says in terms of whether they support me or believe me. I know what I've seen, and I will go to my grave knowing the truth because I've seen it. I have seen Palestinians carrying dead children. And to these people out there that say, oh, well, if the parents were eating, how did the child die? Shut up. Like, shut up. Children are obviously far more vulnerable, especially infants. So when people say things like that, their voice should have zero credit because that is just pure ignorance and evil. Or when people say, oh, we don't give them water because Israel's providing water. Really? Come on. That is ignorant. And it's mind-boggling that people will actually believe that, to where you really believe that Israel is providing them potable water? They're not. I never saw one spigot. I never even saw a garden hose from Israel going into Gaza. There's no water being provided. That's a lie. Any water that the Palestinians have, they have to either boil from the ocean, and if they go to the ocean, they're pretty darn lucky if they don't get shot because they can't even fish. So boiling water from the ocean, rainwater, all of which they have to boil to prepare. And they have no propane. Like on our sites, when the Palestinians came to the site, they would scrounge for scraps of cardboard so they'd have something to burn. They were begging us for lighters. You have a lighter? You have a lighter? You have a lighter? The wooden pallets that the food came on, they wanted those almost as much as they wanted the food because they wanted to break them apart to wood so they'd have something to burn. They've all been displaced. Their homes are destroyed. They're all living in displaced persons camps. When you see on the news and you see on the TV these cities of white tents, that's where they all live now. Their homes are destroyed. Rafah, the entire city of Rafah is leveled to the ground. It looks like post-apocalyptic nuclear war. It is leveled to the ground. It makes Hiroshima and Nagasaki look like a pregame. It's leveled to the ground. There's nothing like it that I've ever seen in my entire career in the military, and I've been to a lot of war zones.
How devastating is that? Like, you are someone who actually went into this as a hero person. Like, you're going to defend the people of this country against other people that are of, similar size and armed to the same extent that you are. You didn't go into this to go like deal with civilians and bombing civilian locations and women and children. Like, this is, to me, has got to be just so unbelievably demeaning for people who have actually served. It's like, it reminds me of Kramer from Seinfeld with the little kids. It's like, this is not, there is no even any, these people have no honor whatsoever. There's no honor whatsoever.
I also want to remind people, and Anthony, I speak to this man to man here. I hope you do what is necessary in terms of dealing with the PTSD that I have no doubt you are getting from this experience. Jen, you talk all the time about how you kind of force yourself to experience it as well by watching the videos of these children every single day. I don't know how many people have seen this clip, but it's been making the rounds online. I want people to remember that these are human beings, especially the detestable anti-humanity-laden Zionist messaging that still permeates through our country, the dehumanization of the Palestinian people. These are Palestinian children attempting to deal with graduation. And I believe this was done just this week that this footage was taken from.
Those are all orphans, by the way.
How do you
They're orphans.
How do you look at these fucking children and think that it is acceptable that we continue this relationship with Israel? The only reason anyone, and I mean anyone, and I'm calling out, I'm going to go on a fucking crusade, man. I am calling out every last son of a bitch that's in the independent media space that has made a dime off of Israel, has defended Israel for the money. You are worse than Judas as far as I'm concerned. These are people that they're the ones that truly lack humanity. You could debate whether the worst people are the ones who simply keep their mouths shut, even though they know it's wrong and they know what's going on, but they know that they can't speak up because of their social standing or whatever their effing excuse that they're going to give. But there are people out there who have their hands out that even in spite of all this, in spite of these children and looking at what they're going through and knowing that this is multi-generational, that this is going to have to be dealt with, that they still have their goddamn hands out, ready to make money off of the blood of these innocent children. I can't for the life of me. Honestly, man, I have it out for this one guy that's in South Florida.
Oh, you've got to stop saying it.
I can't. I'm using it as an example. I can imagine Anthony's got people on his list that he'd like to deal with. I know you've got your people.
I have people.
I'm up in the Panhandle, man. I'm
Laura Loomer.
Yeah, you got Laura Loomer. I've got this guy. I mean, honestly, when you're a special forces, you're trained to kill. So I can imagine that there's a part of you that really has to pull back all the time, because there are people you look at and you realize that they have no humanity. It doesn't exist. And not only do they not have humanity, but they've got their hands out ready to take the money in order to continue to facilitate it, which is absolutely insane.
Yeah, a lot of it's very easy for people that are profiting from this, either from AIPAC or other donors or other flows of revenue, or it's very easy to look away when you haven't seen it. It's very easy to ignore it when you haven't seen it. It's very easy to pretend that evil doesn't exist when you haven't seen it. When Ambassador Huckabee and Witkoff, when Bert and Ernie went into Gaza to go to site number 1, they roll out this. It's so ridiculous. It's like something that could have been off of a Monty Python skit. You got this doofus there with his helmet all crooked. I mean, at least someone could have showed him how to wear a helmet. Just looking like a doober. And they take them into Gaza to site number 1, and they roll out artificial turf. GHF rolled out artificial turf. It's the desert. And they roll out this artificial turf to set up this table, to have this nice little beautiful scenery in the middle of the desert. And they had these signs that they had made. 100 million meals. These almost like you would see almost at like a political campaign. And that's exactly what it is. It's so ironic to me, because before I tendered my resignation and left in protest, one of the recommendations I made to Safe Reach Solutions, that's the contract entity under the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, was, instead of shooting at the Palestinians as they come down the Marag corridor to the road to come to the site, why are we shooting at them? Well, we shoot at them to show them not to go past this point, which way not to go. You know what would be really helpful, I think? A sign. I would put a sign out there that says turn left. Don't go this way, turn left. How about we do that?
I'm not talking about real.
Well, no, that's not in the budget. Oh, okay. But boy, they can roll out signs and artificial turf for Bert and Ernie and their uncle, and to roll out some signs to tell people how great they're doing. It's a sham. It's a facade. It's a charade. It is the humanitarian version of a used car salesman.
Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't expecting more, but that's why it's interesting talking to you. Like, I've known what I've known. We've known what we've known about what's going on for a long time. So I knew there was no chance. Once they got rid of UNRWA and they started pushing out the people that actually know how to provide the actual care that's needed, I knew they weren't serious. They're not trying to help people. And quite honestly, it's completely illogical to think that people would want to help people that they're trying to kill. So that just makes no sense to me whatsoever, to think they would even want to help them, because they don't care at all. That's just not their thing. And I think you're very interesting, because you're reminding me a little bit of Miss Rachel, in that, you weren't really harping on this issue. This wasn't something that was really on your radar to be out and talking about. And now they've really activated it, because I can tell this has changed your life. Like, you see things very differently, right? So it's like you and Miss Rachel, and that's, by the way, I mean that in all revere. Like, I love Miss Rachel, but she wasn't talking about this. And now that's like the main thing she's talking about. So, I'm appreciative of people like you.
Well, there's so much. So to be honest, during my military career, my area, as a Special Forces Green Beret, my area of operations was not the central command area. I mean, I had gone to Afghanistan, I had gone to Iraq, which is in the central command area of responsibility, but as a Green Beret, my expertise and cultural background was Southeast Asia. So I wasn't very well steeped in the greater picture of the region. But of course, I watched the news and I heard, I'm aware of things and I did have opinions, but it's always difficult, especially from my experience, knowing where I've been home, even in the military, where I was in Afghanistan and came home and then watching the news and I'm like, holy shit, that's not happening. Like I was just there. That's not true. So information, sometimes it's very difficult to punch through in terms of what's real, what's narrative, what's an agenda. And there is a lot of that. However, going to Israel, going into Gaza, I had the intent to do good. I felt I was under the impression that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation was there to do good. Call me stupid, call me naive, call me, ignorant, which I was. That I truly did think that with the pressure from the international community, that Israel wanted to deliver humanitarian aid to provide relief and provide aid to the people of Palestine. I thought that. I believed that. Boy, was I wrong. Because not only are they not, at first I thought like, man, they're really shitty at delivering humanitarian, they're really shitty at this.
Right.
And they're not. They're very good at making it look like they're doing it, but undercutting the actual doing of it, but making it look like they are. And America is that puppet. Israel's got their hand up America's ass, and this puppet is GHF, where they're just telling people we're delivering meals, we're doing good, and they're not. Anybody, my 8-year-old son can look at the statistics and be like, that's not right. That doesn't make sense. And it doesn't. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, Johnny Moore's not in charge of it. Johnny Moore doesn't even know where Gaza is on a map. He's only been there once for a photo shoot. I guarantee you, if you took the labels off a map and asked Johnny Moore to find Gaza on a map, he wouldn't know where it was. You could turn it upside down and he wouldn't be able to find it. He doesn't care. Johnny Moore is not in charge of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Kogat is. Kogat in Israel is the coordinator of government activities in the territories. A very dystopian 1984 type of title, right? Like the coordinator of government activities in the territories. Right. Like, can you really, like, wow, you're not even trying to hide your big brother 1984 dystopian reality here. So this entity is what controls GHF. The money, the contract, Safe Reach Solutions, who's the overall contract arbiter of the execution of the aid, has a contract with the Israeli government. Kogat is the handler of that contract through the IDF. And it was made very clear to me, very clear, in no unclear terms, that our client is the IDF. Safe Reach Solutions' client is the IDF. So the IDF dictate everything. And what's sickening about it is that as an American company, as Americans, now raising our hand to take taxpayers' dollars, and this is another thing that really kind of pushed me to be like, okay, this isn't private anymore. We're using American taxpayers' dollars. Does the American taxpayer know what we're doing? I don't think they do. So with the taxpayers' dollars, whether you're Fred and Fran out in California or Bill and Betty down in Florida, your tax dollars are going toward genocide. A planned, a designed, an articulated, and a deliberate genocide. So to the American tax dollar, to the American taxpayer, you can't sit at home and look away and say that's a problem far away that you're not a part of. Oh, you're a part of it. You are a part of it. Our tax dollars are going to the sites to build these concentration camps that are part of phase 3 that are happening right now. Right now, the Palestinians from the north are being pushed to the south. All the Palestinians from central Gaza, Khan Yunis, Mawasi, Rafah, have been pushed to the south. And you know who the guards at these concentration camps are? GHF Solutions, UG Solutions contractors. They're the guards now at these concentration camps, what they're calling the Humanitarian Assistance Transit Area, the HATA. Where the hell are they being transited to? Death? It is obnoxiously absurd. And for the world to sit back and buy this garbage, wake up.
Yeah.
Wake up.
Yeah.
And it's not a matter of weeks and months, it's a matter of days that there's a matter of days between there will be no Palestinians left. And Israel will be like, oh, sorry. Don't blame me. America did it with me. They're right here with me. So to the American taxpayer, to the American government, you are setting America on a very dangerous path of condemnation because we are right there hand in hand. The way I see it, if I were to draw a cartoon, you know, those old political cartoons, would be Palestinians being marched into a gas chamber and Uncle Sam is turning the gas knob. That's us.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, I am someone who is of the belief and opinion based on many years of watching this. Israel is us. They're not separate from us. And they can't be, because if they can't exist without us, then they're part of us. That means that getting rid of Israel is sort of like cutting off a limb, right? It's more like a tentacle, I would say. But they can't exist without us. So every single thing that they do is an extension of us. Everything they do is, and it's been that way since 67. Really, it has. So, you know, it's just gotten progressively worse. And they have now, nobody even listens to what they're telling us they're doing. They're saying they want to have another Nakba. They're saying they call these people animals.
They're saying it loud and clear. They're not even being shy about it.
Right. It's worse than Nazis. And this is, and a big problem I have, I don't know where you're located. I'm in South Florida, and a lot of these Israelis are coming here. And I don't want to live amongst genocidal mentality people. I just don't. That's just not what I'm about. And I don't know where these people are going to go. That's a big thing that we talk about here, because what happened after the Holocaust and the Nazis were all dispersed among us. In fact, I think a lot of what we're seeing right now in the Zio hell state is part of that original disbursement of Nazis from after the Holocaust that have been part of this Zionist propaganda bullshit all along. But where are they all going to go? You know, Cyprus doesn't want them. Greece doesn't want them. I have to move. I'm leaving South Florida because I can't be around these people anymore. So I don't know what's going to happen to them, but they are us. Israel is us. They can only exist because of us.
Do you believe
the question of who wants them and where they're going to go, that shouldn't even be a question that we're asking.
I know,
that's
but
like
I don't
asking like
them.
because it's so absurd to think that and the United States has proposed this as well, to help come up with an idea that we're going to take all the Palestinians and put them in boats and send them to another place. What the, like,
no,
WTF?
We don't need to move the Palestinians. What I'm saying is, what's going to happen to all the Zio Nazis when this has ended?
Gotcha. Yeah.
No.
I don't know.
The Zio Nazis are migrating in mass, and I don't want to live amongst those people. Okay. Oh, you thought I was talking about? No.
Okay.
I don't understand. That's what I was saying. Like the Nazis post the Holocaust, when they were basically shamed into exile, supposedly, right? So you had a whole bunch of people went to Argentina. We took a bunch. Yeah, a whole bunch went to Zio hell too. And this is what I was saying, I think, is part of the offshoot from that, because Nazism and Zionism are intertwined. And so when I look at this, it's like, yes, that's exactly what happened. They redid it from the Zio state, but now where are these people going to go? That's what's freaking me out. That's why I got to leave South Florida. I can't live amongst these people. I don't know how we can't coexist on the planet. These people are not capable of coexisting on this planet with us peacefully. They're just not capable.
Anthony, how do you see this ending? Because we are both of the mind that it's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but the relationship between the United States and Israel will ultimately be severed, because there's millions of people in this country know. And the people that we cross collaborate with that are on the same page, including our mutual friend, Katie Halper, who would be considered a left populist, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie, who would be considered right populists, and even people who are considered nationalists like Nick Fuentes. There is a really big national coalition that is building here that wants to do away with the United States-Israel relationship. How do you ultimately see it unfolding as we go forward? Because I don't think that we've reached the point of no return. That I don't think is up for debate. The question becomes, how is this going to manifest going forward? Because I fear that we can't save the Palestinian people, but what we can do is end this genocidal, unholy alliance with this country forever. This isn't, well, they need to be taught a lesson. This is, we will never be affiliated with the genocidal state of Israel ever again. The question is, when does that happen? And do you see that happening?
Well, what I would offer to the President of the United States and to all those on the various sides of the aisle, wherever they are, that think that everything's fine in Gaza land, everything's fine, no one's starving, look at them. To all those people that think that, I would say, didn't y'all run on a platform of America first? Didn't y'all run on this platform of Make America Great Again? Well, I'll tell you what, backing a genocidal nation that's trying to wipe out an entire population, that doesn't sound great to me, Donnie.
No, it's a really great idea. You don't know what you're talking about. There's lots of real estate, beautiful real estate. We're going to make it happen, believe me. And we'll appoint you. I love our troops. Thank you for supporting us. But if you're not with us, you're against us, we're going to have a really big problem here. Yeah, he doesn't understand.
So when you think about America first, what I would tell all those mothers and fathers sitting at home whose children are close to being aged to join the military, or for those of you out there that are in the military or loved ones in the military, do not shed a tear and do not hide your face when American soldiers start to come home in coffins draped in flags, because we get pulled into an Israeli war. Because right now, look at it, the war with Iran. It has always been our position that we're trying to address Iran in a diplomatic way. Not always successful. I'm not saying that it's been successful, but I'm saying there's always been a red line of like, hey, we're not going to start dropping bombs on sovereign countries in this particular arrangement. I'm not saying we haven't done it before, because we've done plenty of it. But Israel did it, and then when they did it, it's almost like Israel, you know, like it's kind of a in the military, it's called a stack. When you line up at the door and someone's gonna blow the door and the number one man in, the number one man, right? Israel was like the number one man, and everybody in line was like, I wouldn't do that. And Israel just Leroy Jenkins it, kicks in the door, goes in like, oh shit, I can't handle this. Who's gonna help me? America, you've got the bombs, come and help me. And America, even then, we were like, well, I don't know, we have the bombs, I don't know if they're gonna work. They might not work. And then sure enough, all these military minds, General Dan Kane, who's the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, I know him personally. I have pictures of him from when we were together in Iraq. The man is smart, and you can see when he's talking at the podium where even he doesn't believe the bullshit. And it's, let's go drop these bombs, and we do it, and everybody's just kind of like, that could have been done better. We got dragged into that. Because Bibi told us to. So to all the Americans that are sitting back home and thinking this won't happen to you, this doesn't affect you, well, your tax dollars are already being spent on it, so it is affecting you. So when you can't buy groceries and there's inflation and you can't put gas in the car or take your family on a vacation because shit's too expensive, well, guess what? Israel's getting it. But in addition to that, do not shed a tear and hide your face. Again, like I said, when American soldiers come home in coffins draped with flags because we get pulled into a war that Israel pulls us into. Because it will happen if we continue down this path. So, yes, the alliance needs to be severed. Technically, Israel is not an ally. I just want to make that clear. They're an appendage. By definition, Israel is not an ally. They are not an alliance. So for us to say that is not true.
Right.
So
then what are they? What are they? That's why I say they're an appendage. Because they're not.
Yeah, they're like a bad roommate that won't get off the couch. Like
parasite,
it's really
like a parasite.
And we keep doing it. We keep doing it. We keep doing it. And right now, three things are going to happen in the near future. One, the world, Western Europe, North American allies, South American allies, the world is going to condemn Israel for what's happening. It's already, the dominoes are falling. And the world is going to condemn what Israel has done. When the images start to come out of Gaza City, mark my words, mark the date on the calendar today, because here I am saying it at 8:57 p.m. East Coast time. When the images start to come out from Gaza City and Jabalia, it's going to bring the world to its knees. It's going to bring the world to ask, what have we done and what have we allowed? And the world is going to condemn Israel. And the United States, I fear, is not going to sever and going to go right along with them with there's no one starving. They're not shooting at civilians. No one's died. They're all hiding. They haven't been killed. They're hiding. It's ridiculous. And when the world condemns because of the truth, we're in a bad position.
Great.
Two, what's going to happen is that we're then going to respond with a mea culpa, sorry, we didn't know. Right. One day, everyone is going to say that this was wrong. We are going to be late to the game in saying that it was wrong. And then we too will sever our alliance. However, the damage, the stain on America's reputation, the stain on America's standing will be clear. And there's no coming back from that. Three, Israel will be a pariah state. They will be a rogue nation pariah state that likely will not continue to exist in the state that it is. Yep. Because of the condemnation of the world and the fact that Israel needs the world. They need the United States. What's going on? Like, people should think like Israel should thank me for speaking out and stopping them. Like, friends don't let friends commit genocide. We should stop what they're doing because it's not in Israel's best interest. And I wish every Israeli would look at that to see, how do you think this ends? Where do you think the end game is? How did it end for the Nazis? How did it end for the Third Reich in Germany? It didn't end well. It's not going to end well for you. Do not continue to do this. One, for the sake of humanity. Two, for the sake of your own nation, Israel. Three, for the sake of the world and looking at this will be in history books one day. My son, one day when he is in middle school or high school, will read about this in history books. My driving force, I don't give a shit. Sorry. I don't care about money, influence, power. I don't need anybody's money. I don't need anybody's handouts. I am retired and I am a grumpy old man. And I think that we should not have genocide in our modern world. We shouldn't have it at all. But now it's on the world. It's genocide happening in real time. It's genocide being TikToked and tweeted or whatever you call it. I don't know.
See, now you're sounding like an old man. See, now you're sounding. See, I was going to say, I think you're definitely younger than me. But I say things like, tweeting and twitting and whatever. Like, I don't know what any.
I don't know what any of it is because I don't have any of it. Like, someone sent me something and I was like, oh, was this from MySpace? Like, where did you get this? Like,
no, trust me. Today, you're definitely better off. But if you have not been putting pen to paper, my guess is you have been. Please keep doing it. I'm sure once you are prepared to release a book, obviously it's one that I hope you can get all your thoughts out and, just explain this whole odyssey of this experience of what it's been like. And, normally we wait to do our super chats until.
Wait, but I have one more question before you go, because just for unequivocally, I want everybody to understand this. Okay. Please explain, Anthony, how you didn't see everybody Hamas coming and stealing all the food.
And in terms of going, like, hey, y'all, it's Saturday night. I'm here. I got the Golden Girls on DVR. I'm ready to party.
Oh my God, you're in the Golden Girls too? You're into the Golden Girls too?
I watch them every day.
Same. Oh my God, we're practically twins.
I love the Golden Girls. My perfect day is waking up, cooking breakfast for my family, taking my son to school, coming home with a hot cup of coffee, walking the dogs, afternoon nap, and then I watch the Golden Girls. I was on season 24. I'm about to restart.
Excellent. Excellent work. I've been watching it every night now. Every night it's on. It's actually on. I have 2 channels. And so I can actually go back and forth. Like, what season are they on? What season are they on? And I can like pick which one I want to watch.
I'll tell you what, Bob Ross and the Golden Girls, I'm down. Let's party.
Oh yeah. Okay. Now I know. Now I know you're a crazy guy.
Well, it's definitely the most therapeutic way of enjoying oneself is to just watch Bob Ross do a painting. I definitely agree.
You know, he hated the perm, right? Did you know that?
Well, I want to. So to answer the question real quick about the Hamas.
Yeah.
Videos, many videos, hours of footage that not only I have taken but others on the sites have taken, where you see, like on one morning, June 1st, dawn, about 5:08 in the morning. Sun hasn't broken on the horizon yet. It's that pre-dawn darkness, what we call early evening nautical twilight. It's dark. When the Palestinians are released from the holding line, where the IDF hold them back with shooting at them, and release that line, there were so many people rushing towards the site, and I have this on footage. The ground shakes. As soon as they all start coming down in the magnitude of thousands, the ground was shaking. And as they're coming to the site, you just hear bullets flying overhead, tracer rounds, mortar rounds, illumination rounds popping overhead, and bullets flying everywhere. You would have thought you were in the Battle of the Bulge. Nope. Just the IDF shooting at Palestinians to communicate. There wasn't any return fire. I never saw one bullet returned. In fact, the only time on one of the sites that we were shot at was when the IDF were shooting and didn't realize they were shooting into our site. Never was there return fire from anyone. Never saw Hamas. I never even saw an armed Palestinian. Not with a rifle, not with a stick, not with a club, not with a pistol, nothing. Never saw an armed. In fact, these are the Palestinians that I saw.
Yeah.
Doesn't have parents. Parents are dead.
That I know.
These are the Palestinians that I saw. You know what he's doing there? He's picking up noodles from the ground because there was no food left. You see all those crushed boxes? No food left for him. You know why his face is red?
How do you not want to like break people in half? You know, like I feel that level of rage, and I'm not really capable of breaking.
These are the Palestinians that I know. Look at this girl. This is the girl. This girl right here. Talk about a warrior. I mean, modern day Joan of Arc right here. She shows up to the site alone. Parents are probably in the crowd somewhere, but she shows up with her backpack, and she showed up and talked to one of the local Palestinian workers, and she said, I'm here to get food for my family, and all the food's gone. I'm not leaving until I get food. So I had this package of cookies. Some of the contractors, you know, we had a heart. So I bought some of these cookies in this package here, and in this package of cookies are multiple packages, kind of like the small packs of Oreos, you know? And I give them to this girl. And she doesn't run off with the package. You know what she does? She opens it up and starts handing it out to other Palestinian children. And when she was done, I said, hey, you got to go home. It's time to go home now. You got to go home. And she looks at me and she says to the interpreter, this was my home. My home used to be right here before it was destroyed. You go home. She said that to me. You go home. Damn. These are the Palestinians I know.
Yeah.
These are the Palestinians I met. Hamas, give me a break. These are the Palestinians I know. These are the people that I met. Look at that.
They're real people.
Real people.
Anthony, normally we wait to do super chats after our guest has departed, but this is a very important one. Texas grown, and he did leave a nice, very nice contribution. Lieutenant Colonel Aguilar always says, if we had done something, well, you did do something, and that makes you a man of integrity and Christ's child. What do our fellow enlisted think? I hear we are split on Israel in the military now.
Every soldier, every officer, when you raise your right hand, you swear an oath and allegiance to the United States. As an enlisted soldier, you swear an oath to the officers appointed above you, and you will follow the orders of those appointed above you. As a United States Army officer that gives those orders, you do not swear an oath. And it's in here. I've taken this oath 25 times. I've taken this oath.
Look, see, again, twinsies.
25 times I've taken this oath. And when an officer takes an oath, we do not take an oath to a president, to a Congress, to a people, to a government, to a political party, to a contract, to a paycheck. We take an oath only to the Constitution of the United States. We swear to defend and uphold the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, period. So the military should not be split on Israel or America. That's ludicrous. And right now, we are in a position to where it is Israel or is it America? So if you're in the United States military under the Department of Defense or any citizen of America, especially if you're in the United States military, there shouldn't be a split. There shouldn't be a choice. It is not for the military, it's not America first, it's America only. So for that, it shouldn't even have to be. U.S. service members shouldn't have to take to platforms to call out genocide. Can you imagine?
No.
Can you just imagine if during World War II, when during the post hostilities, Victory Day in Europe, the concentration camps are found. General officers at the time said, I want pictures, I want photographs, I want this documented because one day people will try to deny that this happened and I will not allow it. What happened to that military? What happened to that army that now, this is the army that if we went to the concentration camps, you would have people saying, well, you know, Germany's got good beer. I don't know if we want to make them mad. Like, let's not talk about Holocaust stuff. Bullshit. There shouldn't be a split in the military. It should be very clear, America first. And right now, putting Israel over the U.S. interests is not only unconstitutional, it's treason.
Yeah.
Talk about synchronized statement. We cannot thank you enough for coming on. Again, we have blood rage. I can't even imagine the type of blood rage that you have.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I've never put my life on the line for this country to then have it feel like this is what my country's about. I mean, I had to deconstruct being brainwashed Zionist, but that doesn't even compare.
But compared to where we were, compared to what has been, the ties that are so blatantly obvious now, whether it's JFK, whether it's the USS Liberty. In fact, we're working on having one of the surviving members of the USS Liberty on our show very soon. I won't say.
Please let me know when that is. I'd love to listen.
100%. No, we'll definitely keep in touch. No question about it. Whether it is going to Iraq. You know, people forget that it was Netanyahu who was one of the most vocal people in all of the hearings that said, if we go into Iraq and we take out Saddam, things in the Middle East will be so much better. If you think about 9/11, if you think about everything that has transpired up until this point, Israel has been the biggest bane on our existence by a margin that the Soviet Union could only have wished that they actually were on our country during the
Why do you put that on them like you think they wish to harm us? They're not our enemies.
I didn't say that they did. I'm saying that the enemy that we believe the Soviet Union to be is nothing compared to the real enemy that the state of the genocidal fake state of Israel that they are. You are a hero to this country, not just because you served and served honorably, but because you really have put your life on the line in a way that nothing you did in the uniform could ever compare. There are military contractors now who have you on a hit list. God knows how many of them are out there. They want you to shut the fuck up.
You look very
concerned. Because I tell you, military contracting, especially in Gaza, is good money.
Yeah,
it's real easy. It would have been incredibly easy. Incredibly easy. So easy that I don't have to do anything. To say nothing, look away, collect my paycheck, come on home, buy a boat, live the high life, and who cares? No one's going to know. No one's going to know. And just Anthony, be quiet about it. But I know.
You know, because you have to be, again, I'm guessing you were raised Catholic. You got to live with yourself. And not everybody can. Some people can. They can look the other way. They're willing to basically commit the worst form of blasphemy, as far as I'm concerned, to basically spill innocent blood for profit. And there are plenty of people who are willing to do it. But you know what? It wasn't a little bit of money. I know for a fact that in your position, it was probably in the millions, because I know what these people offer. I know a guy who got a contract from Halliburton in Baghdad back in 2005, I think it was. He was given.
Had I stayed on for the year contract, I would have cleaned $1 million. Over easy.
That's offensive to me. That's offensive to me. I can't.
So when they pass,
it's obnoxious.
When they give out the contracts, I knew a guy back in, like I said, like 2005. I knew of one of these NGOs that was given $25 million to do what? To build a gas station. Build a gas station, which maybe would have cost, let's say, $500,000 to $1 million, and they pocket the rest of the money. And that's basically how this works. So when people wonder, why do we have, when everyone's wondering, how do we spend $1 trillion on our defense? This is not about defense. This is about a cash machine that has created, again, do you know where the highest concentration of millionaires exist in the world today? Just outside of Washington, D.C., in southern Maryland and northern Virginia. That's where they all live. That is the highest concentration of wealth by far. I know people think it's New York or San Francisco or L.A. or even Chicago.
It's weapons contractors.
Weapons contractors. That's where the money is, baby. So that's why when people are wondering, why do we allow this to go on? Because there is not just a little bit of money. There is a shitload of money to go around, and there is a lot of people willing to put their hands out and say, yeah, give me some. What is it that you want me to say? Oh, Israel is really the victim here. I'll say that. Not a problem. It is our job to continue to push your message.
Yes.
And anyone else who has the courage to step up and do the right thing. I hope you have inspired other members to do so. I have a good friend who is a Green Beret as well. He is a devout Catholic. He is absolutely beside himself. He says it all the time. Look, I am the biggest Trump supporter in the world, but I cannot get past this. This is unacceptable. And as much as people want to say that this is Trump's fault, no, what Trump has done is he has completely exposed this thing in a way that is what always the greatest fear. He doesn't protect empire the way others do. We're totally going there for the oil. We're totally going there for the real estate. Well, guess what? You have completely shot your load and then some. Now it's just a question of, when do we end this?
Well, it's going to end. It's going to end. I also wanted to say, Anthony, thank you very much for talking about Amir. And I say that because these are kids that I will never get out of my mind for the rest of my life. I hear him. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. That precious baby. And I will never get him. I will never get Rajab's voice out of my head for the rest of my life. And I don't want to, because I have to remember. And that's what I'll tell people. If you ever see me affiliating with Zios or anyone who wasn't on the right side of history, please assume that I've developed Alzheimer's or some other form of dementia, because I will never get that baby's face out of my head for the rest of my life. So I know that sounds kind of like masochistic for me to say thank you for that, but thank you for that.
You'll come back
one
on?
thing that I got a question that was asked to me today earlier on an interview, and they asked me. Actually, it was with Colonel Black with Veterans for Peace, former senator from Virginia, who's a huge advocate for speaking up against Israel and what's going on. But he asked me, you know, with everything you've seen, what affects you the most? Like what's impacted you the most that's never going to leave you? Saw a lot of death, saw a lot of destruction. But what will never leave me is the spirit and the passion and the kindness of the Palestinian people that I met. That's what will never leave me. The will and the spirit and the overcoming of what they've gone through, that they're still fighting. That is inspiring to me. And to your point on being raised, I was raised Catholic, but my parents also raised me to not be an asshole. And anybody that turns a blind eye to this, that denies that it's going on and does nothing, is an asshole.
That's actually a very pleasant way of saying it. You know,
I was just going to say, you're way too Catholic in your description of what these people are. And it is very Christ-like of you to have done what you have done.
Yes.
And unfortunately,
you never would have thought this would be what would make you be the hero to so many people. You know, after all the things you've done in what would be a traditional hero capacity, you know, like, you know, Rambo was a Green Beret. Like, I remember that. I saw First Blood in the theater.
Yeah.
Like, that was a
Rambo
badass
was
thing.
a Green Beret.
Exactly. Like that is what you would think. And yet to me, none of that compares to you standing up now, what you're doing. Truthfully. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you so much for coming on, guys.
Please stay in touch. I love y'all's platform and your program. I love watching y'all.
Thank you. Well, you can come back anytime. You can come back. You could come back and we could talk about something else. You can make your whole self a new personality of content creator and be on here with us and just hang out.
You know what I would like to do, Jen? Listen, Colonel Wilkerson is a frequent guest on our channel. That's
my crush is Larry.
So, the next time we have them on, if you haven't had the pleasure of speaking with them, especially in a podcast scenario,
we'd love to have you.
More than happy to invite you back and have a conversation with the Colonel, who, as you know,
Colonel Wilkerson texted me last night and set me up on an interview today with another agency, another organization called AIPAC, and
good. So
I interviewed with them. But I've been communicating with Colonel Wilkerson, Colonel Black, other organizations and veterans, and just there's nothing more patriotic than standing for the values of your nation. And
yes,
right now the United States is on the wrong path.
You can say that times a million.
Oh yeah.
And it is our job to continue to do what is necessary, because again, love your country, love your fellow countrymen, love that beautiful red, white, and blue flag, but you are under no obligation to love your government. And the way our government treats us, they might as well be the treasonous ones. So it is our job.
And that's kind of, you know, it's odd to me that the new patriot is someone that, you know, is covered in tattoos, has a beard, hates everybody. If you don't agree with them, you're wrong. They bully people. They love the government without question. Really? That's not a patriot. The patriots I know, our founding fathers, in fact, they said, don't love your government. Don't trust the government. Our founding fathers said that. That's why we have a constitution.
The writer of our Declaration said, and I quote, "When the people fear the government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty." Thomas Jefferson couldn't have been more right in anything that he ever said than that statement. The only reason we are in this predicament that we are in today, where multinational corporations dictate our daily lives and are sinking our country into irrelevance, essentially, is because of the fact that we fear our government. We have to turn that around. We're starting to, but we have to.
I don't.
Well, I know you don't, but I'm saying that the average person does. But they're starting to change, and they're starting to see it. And the more we get these conversations out there, the faster we will get to that change that we seek. Again,
thank you.
Enough. Let's chat again soon.
Yes, please. Let's stay in touch.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure, and I admire and respect you for your voice and your platform and your warriors.
Thank you very much.
Keep it going. Keep it up.
Appreciate it. Thank
Coming
you,
from
Anthony.
that means a lot, my friend.
Yeah.
Have a great evening.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Go watch the Golden Girls. Enjoy yourself.
I'm watching the Golden Girls
I
now.
am. I'm going to go watch one episode before I go to bed. It always eases my mind.
Yes.
Always good advice in there.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Great guy. Obviously.
Love him.
But especially.
Love him. I love him.
We obviously are on limited time for Jen. I'm going to do another segment. I don't know if you're going to hang around for it.
I'll be here. Look, as soon as the bids start rolling, you guys will start hearing like the comic book auction bid craziness going on. I'll sit here until I have to like mute myself and go because nobody wants any part of this.
For a fellow cadet, obviously, I had to give Texas Grown, especially for a $20 contribution, his due. But for all of you super chatters, superstars that have been helping us out along the way to grow our channel, JG1982 with the $10, GHF through UG Solutions employs at least one individual, Johnny Mulford, who is a member of the Infidels Motorcycle Club, a group that some critics associate with anti-Muslim and anti-Arab sentiment. Listen.
Not surprising. Those types of people are always the people that sign up to go on these kind of mercenary type things. That's who they tap into.
I am of the mind that when it comes to bigotry in the United States, especially for certain cultures, I think it's extremely overrated in terms of how many actually feel this way about other people, except for Muslims. Anti-Muslim bigotry in the United States may not be as loud as it was 20 years ago, but make no mistake, the pure
it's a problem.
Hatred that people have towards the Muslim community is very real and very dangerous.
And completely irrational.
Mm-hmm. Completely irrational.
Irrational.
You know, the one thing we didn't get to talk about with Anthony, which I'm sure is true, that his own experience as it is with ours, is overwhelmingly anybody who has something negative to say about the Muslim community has never been inside a mosque, has never been to an iftar dinner, has never been a part of their community, ever. So their opinion is based strictly on the small portion of their population that believes in jihad. And why do they believe in it? Why is that a thing now? Remember, it was never a thing before the state of Israel was created. So this isn't something that is throughout the history of the Muslim community. It's something that is new. Why is it new? Because they have been facing their own form of genocide for multiple generations now because of what the state of Israel has done. It's not just about that little strip of land. It's about complete hegemony in the Middle East to control all the natural resources, starting with the crude oil. That's all this has always been about. So when everybody is making this out to be about religion, no, it's always about the fear of the unknown.
They use religion.
Always. Jamie, great to see you. Thank you so much. Lieutenant Aguilar, you're an American hero. We could not agree more. He definitely is. Kenman, thank you so much for the 279 Canadian A. I'd say the U.S. is Israel's aircraft carrier. Well, Jen, I mean...
it's one and the same. It's one and the same. And I know you're going through super... Okay, go ahead.
And Kenman with the 699 Canadian A. If you want to know who controls you, find out who you cannot criticize.
Yes. I've said that before. So if I can burn an American flag, but I can't burn an Israeli flag, then that's who's the boss. But the reality is they're not the boss. Because we're the boss.
Absurd. Like, the honest, like they really have, again, of all the things that I absolutely want to like just ram Wasserman Schultz's head into the blue-green algae for, it's the fact that throughout her 20 plus years in Congress, there is nothing she has worked harder on than making sure that anti-BDS laws are passed, not just in Florida, but throughout the entire country. That's one of her biggest claims to fame.
Yeah.
That's what she fights for. 2 consecutive 199
1982.
characters from JG 1982. Love you, my friend. Really appreciate you. Jamie, 1 month membership.
Hello for 1 month. Nice. Before I go, I want to say something about what Saul just put. Palestinians welcomed in Jewish refugees fleeing Europe. Absolutely. But this brings me something I want to point out. And this is just something that I've noticed from Palestinians here. Okay, so Palestinians in the diaspora and what I have seen of Palestinians even in Gaza and the West Bank right now, right? They are not remotely vengeful. They don't hate Jews. They, in fact, understand the complete nuance as to the difference between Jews and their oppressive Israeli Zionist regime that has their boot on their neck. They understand.
Correct.
The only people that don't seem to understand the difference are us. Palestinians are not vengeful. They're not spiteful. All they want is to just be left alone with their land. That's it. They don't want revenge. That's our kind of mentality. So I find that very interesting. And even the Palestinians that I've met here are the most gracious. It's really like what Anthony Aguilar was saying about these people that are having to deal with what they're dealing with. And yet they come up and kiss their hand, thanking them. Like they're not vengeful people. They're just not. That's what's so unbelievably infuriating about all of it to me.
Jenman caught the Leroy Jenkins reference. Clearly like that one. Thank you so much for the 279 Canadian A once again. Democracy Reboot Vanguard. Thank you very, very much for the $20 super chat. Hamas gets called terrorists, yet they expose the real threat. Israel war criminals. DHF, founded by U.S. and Israel and run by Moore, should face alien tort statute for aiding these crimes. Again, Anthony, thank you. Keep your voice alive. Yes, we must keep his voice alive, literally and figuratively. This should come as no surprise to anybody. Honestly, what we're learning is the peeling of the onion when it comes to discretionary spending in the United States. So
we're getting vindication. We're getting vindication in what we've thought all along.
So when everybody says it's the taxpayers' money, no, we are taxed to pay for the crimes that our government reigns hell on across the world.
Right. The sentiment is the same. You guys know we support we totally believe in modern monetary theory. We know that tax dollars don't fund spending, but taxpayers, meaning all of us who are part of the society. Well, not just that we don't have a say, but that is our resources. That's our collective resources. And the fact that that's how it's being allocated is the problem. So the sentiment is the same. And to all of my Palestinian friends, I see you all in the chat and I know you don't hate Jews. I know you don't. This is why this is another reason why it's proof to me that we're just such morons here, how we teach our people here, because the Palestinians that I met, they know better. They know better. They understand. They can actually see, okay, Jews are not Zionists. Zionists are not Jews. Like they get it. It's fascinating.
Jamie Solomek, good. Thank you again for the $5. I'm glad to be back in time for LTC Aguilar's appearance. I was temporarily down and out after a training accident. We hope you're doing better, my friend. Hope you're on the mend. And thank you so much for your support. Jamie, as you guys may know, is one of our regulars, and he too escaped the Zionist cult like Jen did. Not an easy thing to do.
Zainah says she's been attacked by Jewish women and I still don't hate their faith. Thank you. Thank you for not holding the worst of us, like as the symbol of us. Like, thank you for not holding us accountable for the absolute worst of us. It is embarrassing. And that's where somebody was asking, like, when did you start referring to people as anti-Zionist? It's when us Jews, people like me, people like Katie Halper, people like, that have to distinguish ourselves, we have to know who we're dealing with. And the only way for us now to know amongst white Ashkenazis is to say that we're anti-Zionist.
And speaking of Katie, if you're watching, maybe you are, maybe you're not, giving you a huge shout out and a big hug. Thank you so much for connecting us with Anthony and for making this conversation possible. Jen, would you like to hang around for one more topic? I can't.
It's going to happen. He already has his lights on. Like I'm telling you, they're going to start the bidding and the craziness will start. And then I'll have to start.
You'll have to stay around for one last thing.
I want to see. Yes, Asma. And now JG, see, now they're doing it just to make me stay here.
Well, I can't argue with that. Asma, thank you so much as always. 1999. Thank you both, Jen and Pete, and thank your guest. Thank you for that little Muslim defense, Pete.
Always.
Appreciate that more than word. Of course.
Always. I'm an atheist, and I honestly, I have no real interest in any religion, but I have yet to go to any sort of religious thing that is like like going to a mosque, where it feels like that, where it's just very peaceful. It's very welcoming, to each their own. I have nothing but love. And I have only met like the kindest people in the Muslim community and in the Palestinian community. And so, yeah, absolutely.
I can say from personal experience of having been inside the 3 major religions, house of worship, synagogue, Catholic church, and a mosque. And I can tell you from my own personal experience that there is no more welcoming, diverse set of people than those that pray in a mosque. Period.
Yeah.
It is.
And it is diverse. Like I am telling you, because that Ramadan, not the Ramadan, last year's Ramadan, we were at the Egyptian iftar, the Turkish iftar, the Palestinian iftar, the Pakistani iftar. That was dangerous. But yeah,
it was delicious for me. Maybe not.
No. Pakistanis eat spice at a whole other level that I am just not. I am way too white. I am way too white. So now when I have to.
You know what I really like though? What's the Pakistani Muslim restaurant in Davie? I forget the name of it. We were there a handful of times.
I know, but I'm not sure where you're. Which one?
I thought that the food there was excellent. I thought
was my mouth on fire and was I crying? That would be.
No, but you love the naan and you like the.
Yes. Okay. This is where when you have this mild crossover of some more mild Indian elements into the Pakistani realm, then you kind of can have I can have some sort of safety in food. But if I go to where it's just the Pakistanis, no, I can't eat like they eat. I'll die. I'm quite certain I'll die. I'm quite certain my insides will erupt into flames and I'll die.
The one downside to living in this part of the country that I'm in right now, I am not going to find a mosque and I am not going to find a restaurant that serves that type of Middle Eastern food, which I happen to like a lot. So when I come to South Florida in a week, maybe we could go out and grab some of that food. Maybe all
right. I'll go with the Indian food, because I feel like I have more options there. I'm not sure what it is.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And if people don't know my story, sitting at the Pakistani iftar next to this young Indian girl, and I'm sitting there. And by the way, this girl, hijab, the whole thing, she's sitting there fully covered. I'm sitting there sleeveless and sweating, sweat pouring off my face from the food. And I turned to her and I'm like, how are you eating this? And she's like, oh, we killed our taste buds a long time ago, is basically what she told me about like and it's like, I was, no.
JG, thank you so much for the $5. For next time, can you please ask Anthony about infidels information? I'm very curious. We will have him back. We will have Anthony back for
Are you kidding me?
And Anthony, without question, if we do our Festivus this year, we'll have lots of airing of grievances that I'm sure
we're not having a Festivus. Festivus is dead to us. No, Festivus is dead to us.
You got to come up with something then.
All right.
I'll come up with a holiday get together for everybody.
All right.
I want people to either say goodnight to Jen. You're really going to run off now?
He's going to come in here any minute, and the crazy is going to start. So I'd rather do it before he comes in here and yells at me that the crazy.
He's not going to yell at you. It's Saturday night.
Yell at me, but you guys don't understand. These guys get into auction mode, and it just gets crazy in here. And he's got some new things put up, and I don't even.
Well, hang around with us. You'll hang around with us for as long as you are able to, and then you will go. I think.
Okay, but all right. I told him I would be done by 9:30, but I have to. No, I gotta cruise. He needs the room. So, but hey, I've been here for 2.5 hours on a Saturday night, which, my Saturday nights are always so busy and hopping. It's so hard for me to find the time.
Thank you very much.
All right. Bye, guys. See, he's here now. He's ready to go. He says I can have a few more minutes, but you're getting ready to do your thing. Yeah. I don't want to go in the middle of a bit.
Can you do you have 15 minutes? Can you have 15? Is that enough?
He's on. Oh, you're not going until 10? Okay, so I can stay for a little bit. He got me a little time. Okay.
All right, Jen's hanging around a little while longer, guys, so you can feel happy. And because I'm happy, clap along.
See, Trevor says that I'm going to be sold at the auction.
Oh, that's terrible.
If I'm sitting here long enough, I probably would be.
They probably pay top dollar for you. There's no question.
Most of these, let me tell you, that's an interesting crowd. I'm not being sold to any of those, whatever. I call them incels, but whatever.
I want to preempt this for all of you guys, because for anybody who is trying to understand, how does somebody like Jeffrey Epstein get to their position? How does somebody like Ghislaine Maxwell get to their position? There is no question that when it comes to the banking world and how we ultimately got here, it isn't just the Rothschilds. It isn't just the Jewish banking conspiracy. There's something even more sinister than that. How we got here in many ways was the shifting and the creation of the Federal Reserve under Woodrow Wilson in 1913. Here is a brief explanation for a man who I believe is supposed to be J.P. Morgan. I believe that's who he's supposed to be.
Island, November 1910. 7 bankers meeting in secret to create America's central bank. We just can't call it that. The 1907 panic nearly destroyed us. Banks failed, fortunes vanished. We want to control America's money supply, create booms, trigger busts, and profit from both. And how will we do that?
We'll create money from nothing, loan it to the government, and charge interest.
That's usury. In addition, this is also the whole concept of boom-bust cycles in our broken capitalist system. The whole idea, much like the crash in 07, 08, is a reflection of the average person getting screwed, and the multinational banking corporations, like this man is explaining, are the ones who get to scoop up all of the assets. Hence, we become slaves to the system.
I agree with Beefy. He does look like Colonel Sanders.
He does. But I bet he does not make a mean fried chicken. Remember, you got to have some Cajun spice in it.
Legal counterfeiting, my friends.
But there's a cost. Every dollar we print steals value from existing dollars. It's a hidden tax that flows directly to us. And it gets worse. If we ever get off the gold standard, governments can print money for wars. Endless wars become possible and profitable. Since Americans hate central banks, we'll call it the Federal Reserve. Sounds governmental, doesn't it? It's not. The president will appoint board members, but we'll pick who he appoints. We'll have 12 regional banks. Looks decentralized, democratic even, but New York banks control them all. That's us. You're probably wondering how we're going to get this through Congress.
Are we really wondering how they're going to get this through Congress?
Where is this from? This is good. Like, I wish I had been shown this like in school instead of the textbook I was given. I would have rather had this little. It's way better than Prager. What is this?
This was dropped on Instagram yesterday.
It's great. It's great.
December 23rd, 1913. Most of Congress home for Christmas. Perfect timing for passing unpopular legislation. I'll publicly oppose our own bill in Congress. They'll pass it thinking they beat Wall Street. We'll fund university chairs, write the textbooks. They'll teach our system as economic science. Beautiful. Every American born after this will inherit debt on money we created from nothing. Generational servitude. The Federal Reserve. Not federal, no reserves. But everyone will think it's their government protecting them.
Good afternoon.
So when we say we agree with ending the Fed, we mean just that.
And this is a great crossover with us and the libertarians.
Yes, a big one, which is also why begrudgingly we got Clint Russell to agree that if we agreed to help him end the Fed, he would support a single-payer healthcare system.
So now we need to get Clint in with to get Randy Fine out.
Yes, and
potentially have a GOP congressperson supporting single-payer healthcare.
Yeah, or somebody Anthony Aguilar would definitely back. Those things are important. Again, everything's changing by the day. But the more
connect Anthony Aguilar with Matt Ho, that would also be a really
a dynamic duo.
Also, this is all just amazingly good man candy for me. You do realize that, right?
Oh, I am. Hey, listen, whatever works.
You're away, like, let me tell you something. And then you say Larry Wilkerson, and it's like, be still my heart. You know what I mean?
Well, he is the Colonel. Like I love
him.
So I bring this up because when everybody is asking themselves, why is Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell able to get away with this? Why has this sort of unholy alliance with Israel been allowed to exist? It's all about money and power. This isn't about moral clarity of any kind. It's not that's never a question. It doesn't matter the depravity, the lack of humanity. That's all on full display. Everybody knows that that is the case. And so now, because of the fact that the Trump administration doesn't know what the hell they're doing, and we know that
what gave you that idea? They seem so on top of shit.
They really thought that they could actually convince their own people. That would be my guess, that if we just allow Ghislaine Maxwell to say her piece and say that Trump had nothing to do with Epstein's Island, that and that wasn't enough.
Right.
There's also her saying that Clinton had nothing to do with Epstein's Island. Guys, it is a small club and you're not invited. And the sooner we realize how this is all played and constructed, we will realize that we must sever this relationship. But we are going to play you.
Well, you've got to stop saying that. There is no severing the relationship. They are us.
Okay. Well, I know you say that, but I'm still going to convince myself that we can get away.
But what I'm telling you is what we need to do is end the Zionist project. That's our project. But stop saying there is no ending the relationship with them. That just ends them. So then that's the point. We need to end them. But there is no ending that relation. It's not like Israel will continue to exist as its own little state if we're not affiliated with them.
Just remember, excuse me, just remember, I'm totally innocent. I did nothing wrong. And we are making America great again.
Again.
Thank you.
You know,
and my husband
is
not in the room right now.
Do you have a list of names in your head or names that come to mind of people that you know did get massages when they were with Mr. Epstein?
No, there's no list. There's no list of people getting massages. I don't have, I can barely recall all the people. I can barely recall. I struggle.
This is coming from somebody who actually was a guest at Bill Clinton's daughter's own wedding.
Well, I do actually believe that there is no physical list. I would believe that. You don't need one. You don't need a physical list. In fact, it would be stupid to literally have a list because then that would be something that could be exposed. But they're saying it as if there's not a list name of people that exists out there in the world in terms of who participated. Of course, there's people that participated. They just don't have a physical list. That doesn't they're making that like a distinct.
You really don't think that there's like a little black book in somebody's private?
I think that they have whoever their contacts are, but do I think that they spell out in writing which of those contacts are pederasses? No, probably not. You wouldn't necessarily put that in writing, but they know who each other are. You don't need to put it in writing.
I struggle to recall actual people that I met, and I may have met a long time, but I had even forgotten that about Mr. Kennedy, or I probably brought it up yesterday. It just came to my mind now. So I don't have, and there's no list. There was never a list. There was no, or certainly none that I ever saw, none I ever heard of, none that I ever witnessed, there's no list.
Exactly. This is right here. This is what I think it is. It's footage, it's tapes, it's evidence of the people that were there and have been there. But that's the thing. That is the evidence of the people. The list is comprised of all of the evidence of the people that participated. They don't need a list. That's what's so stupid. They're talking about a list like the actual writing down of the names makes it so, as opposed to a video of said person having sex with a minor. No, see, that makes it so. Anybody can write anything down on a list.
I don't remember who it was that said it, Mo, but what you have to remember is this. No, with rare exception, nobody buys this. The reason that they're doing this is because they are showing their undying loyalty to the state of Israel. That's why they're doing this.
Yes.
No matter how much of a public humiliation this may be, that is why they're doing it. No one's buying this. And if they are, then you could say that they're in a cult. But if you look at the overwhelming majority of America First MAGA supporters, they're not on board with this, not even a little bit. In fact, it is turning people directly away from Trump altogether.
Okay, so JG19, yes. Chomo is much more of a term that's a justice system type word that you will find people in jail and other people that have sort of honor amongst thieves, how they refer to the lowest life individuals amongst them. So that's their sort of phrase. Pederass is more just sort of like something that I learned in law school is more like law students speak and legal speak. So it's both are accurate, but yes.
Never heard Mr. Epstein talk about such a list.
Never.
And he never heard Mr. Epstein suggest that he had some sort of control over somebody because of what he knew about what they had done or had photos of him.
I never heard him. No, I never heard him ask questions about that. I never heard him. So I've been present many times with masseuses. I never, who presumably could or maybe did massage somebody. I'm not saying whether they did. I'm not just in the context. I never heard him ask any question of any masseuse who may have given a massage to a friend who was on the island or in Palm Beach or anywhere else for that. Any details about that massage.
Why was she watching other people get massaged?
Why is she in federal prison for 20 years?
Well, because they were trafficking children to nobody, to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
The entire trafficking ring was just to please Epstein and Maxwell. That was the whole point of it, all of it, just for the two of them, and that island, all just for the two of them. You know, all I think of is like Dershowitz getting a massage at Mar-a-Lago, and I just want to fucking retch that piece of shit. Ugh.
Well, I think how Dershowitz now can't show his face in public anymore.
Nor should
nice.
he. Nor should he. He should have never been able to show his face.
Listen, you can't just judge a person by their looks, but I will judge him by his looks.
Judging him by his looks, I'm judging him by his actions.
No. What I'm saying is that Dershowitz looks like a pederast. Like he gives off that Woody Allen creepy vibe, like he would touch children.
I don't know why. Okay. I mean, now I do believe that he was getting massages by underage girls. But again, we've also made the distinction between that and necessarily pederasts. But you can't say that based on how someone looks. You say that based on the fact that he was Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer and has the perfect excuse for, complete, privacy and complete confidentiality.
Speaking of pedos, and remember, Ghislaine's own father, Robert Maxwell, has a statue of him in Israel.
That to me is so off the wall. So gross.
Leave it to the Simpsons to have the best meme. And when we talk about pederasts, and again, for those of you who don't know,
is that what you think about?
That's Dennis Prager. Dennis Prager actually said this, and this is coming from the Intellectualist. This is actually coming from, I believe, a conservative publication. Prager, there's no secular argument against adult incest. Brother and sister want to make love. What's your argument? That they're going to produce mentally retarded offspring? That's nonsense. It takes many generations of inbreeding to do that. Yet this is the type of stuff that people like Dennis Prager say.
This is what's going to be replacing PBS. This is now what's in control of the curriculum in like 30-something states in public schools. The Prager Institute is now what's being taught in Florida public schools.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
what could go wrong? Let's make our people even dumber than we actually are. Yeah.
Well, and not only that, but there's also footage of Prager being asked about whether or not sleeping with children or having sex with children is a bad thing. And he kind of like quotes the Bible saying that, well, technically it's not that bad.
Right.
He's a sick fuck. He is also 1000% Mossad as far as I'm concerned. The idea that he could have this fake university, and don't get me wrong, I have seen a handful of PragerU videos, but we're talking like a decade ago. What this guy has evolved into is what he's always been, which is a Zion Nazi of the highest order. And the way he talks about Israel, the way he talks about Judaism is the conflation of the two in the worst way possible. And that's what he does. I'm only using Prager as an example here because it's all interconnected, all of it. The only reason we sit where we sit today is because of this unholy alliance that we must lance off like a boil, as Jen says. Now, how we're going to get there, I don't know. But I know that if we have voices like Anthony Aguilar going out there and probably, I mean, do you think he's going to run for office? I think he probably, no.
Anthony Aguilar? No. No. Did you not get he's enjoying retirement in the Golden Girls? Let me tell you, from one person at sort of, and he's probably a little bit younger than me because I think he retired, you know, fairly recently. I want to say like within the past year or so. He's probably younger than me. No, I don't think he wants to run for office. I think that he was going to do what he thought was helping people, realize that now I've just been introduced to the world's biggest shit show and have an obligation and duty to speak about it, and is doing so. I don't think that translated into, oh yes, I want to like now go work and be in politics. No.
That's fair.
I don't think so.
For the final time this evening, we obviously appreciate you all being here. Jen does have to go. I'm also hungry, as I'm sure Jen is. And of course, there's a big show coming on. Got to have that comic book.
Can I just very quickly tell you about this cool thing I went to today? Because we're going to be having the director, the creator of this documentary I saw today on our show coming up soon.
Sure.
Okay. So guys, today I went to an event at the African American Library here in Broward County. And it was for Florida Rising, but it was the showing of a documentary called Reimagining Safety by a director named Matthew Solomon. And this, I mean, and he was there and I got to meet him, and it was just, I mean, it was great. And this is something that I've been really wanting to talk about because I am an abolitionist. I do not believe in the system that we have now. And it's been very hard for me to explain that because people get very fearful when you talk about things like getting rid of, you know, law enforcement as we have it. And so I really went there thinking I'm going to learn how to better explain this. And I did. And so I'm looking forward to having him on. But anyway, that's something that I did today, was go see a movie called Reimagining Safety. And it was brilliant. So that's my thoughts.
That's a great thought.
No, you don't even like it because you don't agree with it, but I'm learning a lot from it.
I think what makes our dynamic work is that we don't agree with everything.
That's just because I haven't convinced you I'm right enough yet, but eventually I will. And then
you know what you sound like, honestly? You sound exactly like my closest friend growing up. You sound just like him, and he is as hardcore conservative as you can.
Right, but that's
Pete, you just haven't realized that I'm right.
No,
like,
but here's the difference between him and me, is that since you and I have been working together for almost 5 years, you're slowly but surely moving over. And I'm seeing that you can deny it all you want. Deny it all you want, Pete. Deny it all you want. I see it. I see your little socialistic tendencies.
I have capitalistic tendencies and I have socialistic tendencies.
You're not a capitalist. You don't support that concept. You just
I do not support, again, I support the free market. I do not.
That's not capitalism.
Okay.
That is not capitalism. So, right. So that's what I'm saying. You're not a capitalist. Say it.
Okay. I'm not a capitalist. I'm not a socialist either. Sorry.
Where are you then? What are you, Pete?
I'm a free market libertarian.
That is not a thing that exists in this dynamic. That's the thing. Again, I
hate, like, you know, of all things.
You're coming closer to me than your other friend. You're coming closer my way.
Of all things, you're the biggest hypocrite of all, because you've always said, I don't like labels. I don't want labels. You're trying to label me now, and that's not good.
I'm anti-labeling you. That's what the point I'm making is. You're not a capitalist.
Totally not good.
I'm not. I'm asking you what you are to make the point of exactly. You're not a capitalist. What are you? So yes, no, I'm not trying to label you.
I'm a populist. I would call myself a populist, and I think that's fair. Noah Linden, thank you so much for the $5. I'm a classical musician, and I frequently see Israelis massively favored in piano competition.
Interesting.
Zionism is very influential there too. Well, pianos tend to be pricey. So I would imagine that, you know, sometimes those do have effects. I'm not sure if they do or not, but that's my thought. And JG1982 with the $2, wears the top hat, clearly for the guy who was giving his Federal Reserve speech. It certainly would fit the mold.
Free market is not capitalism. They're different concepts. Free market is you let things go how they go. There's supply, there's demand, there's people, you have something I want, I have something you want. That's a free market. Capitalism is subsidies and basically socialism for corporations. Capitalism is favoring shareholders over customers, over what's in the interest. So that is not necessarily free market. If it were free market, then all of those banks would have gone under in 2008 that didn't. So that is not a free market. Capitalism is benefits for the rich, socialism for the corporations, and rugged individualism for everyone else. That is not what a free market would be. So no, they're not the same.
Monday, we will be speaking with one of the most successful professional poker players of all time, Justin Bonomo, who is an anti-Zionist Jew like Jen, and who also knows very well Michael Mizrahi, who comes from a very psychotic Zionist family in Hollywood, Florida, that happens to now be the World Series of Poker world champion. It is unfortunate, but let me tell you, I thought of Bonomo because I knew he's had it out with the Mizrahis before on social media. Right before Mizrahi won the title, he was leaning on the table and his sleeve rolled up and you saw the Israeli flag tattooed on his arm. So to say that we are looking forward to this conversation would be an understatement. But if you guys have been here and have stuck it out all along,
thank you guys.
Smash
that.
That's
good, Travers.
Yep. Subscribe. Zycotic family.
That's awesome. Zycotic. That's really good, Travers. That's good.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like it.
Zycotic.
Well, leave it to our Irishman to come up with the good ones.
Please don't do that.
Make sure that you are subscribed if you haven't subscribed, and make sure you share this live stream. We love you all. We appreciate you all. We will see you Monday. And
always free Palestine.
Good night, guys.